What's up, everybody? This is NFL Network's Adam Ray.
This is Only Fruits.
This is Matt Waldman.
This is Chris Zork from your Chicago Bears.
I'm Deion Miller.
Dan Weeder.
Hey, my name is Rashawn Whitfield.
I'm Courtney Cronin.
Hey, this is David Kaplan. Listen to me. You want to learn football? Listen to my guys, Phil and Shane.
Shane and Phil.
Shane and
Phil.
Oh, Phil.
On the Tape Never Lies Network.
On the Tape Never Lies Network.
Tape Never Lies Network.
The Tape Never Lies Network.
Tape Never Lies Network, home of the greatest Chicago Bears fans on earth.
The following show is for mature audiences only.
I see you got a guy over your shoulder there,
Darren,
number 41, a teammate, and Phil and I are in agreement here. We considered him one of the bigger underrated signings for the Bears. Talk about your teammate there a little bit.
Look, man, like Carr's a hell of a dude, man. He's a hard worker, comes in every day, gives it his all, man. Like, what you see is what you get. Great person. You know what I'm saying? He's about his business. I was blessed enough to, when I got drafted to Tennessee, play with him for 2 years there and then come up here. All season I get picked up and then I get a call from him saying, look, Chicago offered me, they want me to come in and I'm kind of thinking about coming. So, when he finally made that transition here, man, it was awesome to be able to play him for a third year in a row. And we said it like, finishing up this year, was like, man, like, what are the odds we get to, leave one team, go to another team, play with each other, and just keep this thing going? Because our friendship has grown so much since I got drafted. Like, he was the first person that reached out to me once I got drafted from Tennessee. So,
what is this coaching staff like to keep you guys motivated and to keep that locker room tight? Speak on the coaching staff and what they were like during that losing streak. To keep you guys, keep your minds right, and the hits philosophy. Just talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, I would say the main thing is just being a pro. Everything ain't gonna always go your way.
Yep.
It's a week to week league. Like, literally, you gotta look at everything that way. You're up 1 week, you're down 1 week. Everything ain't gonna always be up. It's just how you respond to it. So even if you win, you still gotta respond the next week and try and win again. If you lose, you gotta come back the next week and try and get a win. Unfortunately, we didn't end up in that win column a lot this year. It's definitely different for me coming from high school, college of winning, Tennessee winning, than here. Like, this is the first time I've experienced losing ever. So it's definitely different. But at that same time, it's not really the coach's job to keep you motivated. You got to keep yourself motivated. This is our job. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're the ones out there.
How hard is that?
It's not hard at all. Like, this is what this is what you put your all into. When you put your all into something, it may not be then and there, but it's a long-term play with everything. It's a long season. So that's just like having one bad game out of 17 games. You can't let that one bad game, hold you down for the rest of the season. So even look at this, like, for the coaches with their coaching career, players with our careers, man, like, you can't just let one season define you and how you gonna move forward for the next one. So I looked at this whole year, for the opportunities I got. I wasn't able to play all 17 games, but I made sure every opportunity I got when I was out there that, look, I'm going to put my best foot forward, show these folks I deserve to be here. I deserve to be playing. I deserve to have a jersey and do what I got to do. And it's not necessarily just for this team. It's for all 31 other teams. And that's really what's supposed to motivate the player. know what I'm saying? It's a job interview every time you're out there. We're gonna kill this. We're gonna kill this. I say this all the time, bro. People who are experts, NFL experts on how to scout stuff, bro, like you can't be an expert in something you've never done. A surgeon, a brain surgeon, is an expert in brain surgery.
Absolutely.
Just because I watch a lot of brain surgeries and I watch, you feel me? And I watch doctor shows about people performing brain surgery, that does not make me an expert in saying who can and with who does and does not have the qualities to be a brain surgeon. Only a brain surgeon can do that. So when you hear people with the pre-draft process talk about what guys can and can't do, or they struggle with this or they struggle with that, I hate hearing that crap, because even with a lot of guys, it's just like in college, they may not have had to do something. That doesn't mean they can't do it.
Unless that dragon was fucking a goat.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Chicago's trading up.
100.
Yes! What? Oh my God. Here it is. The tape never lies.
Other people drop off, but we still keep rocking.
You'll never know how good your football team's going to be until you play with maximum effort.
Keeping it 100.
It's an open competition.
Take over the North and never give it back. Smartest man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Guess who's back? The two dudes that kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man and Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east to west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shane's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shane got some haters, but now them out stuck like the now and later. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks scrolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Jimmy. What we do when we're breaking down the Bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the unfair. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like trick sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun dip. We're back better than ever and we keeping it 100.
Keep it 100. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Justin Fields gets outside the pocket, puts that ball perfectly where only Mooney can get it. 1 point, 2 feet.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keep it 100.
Keeping it 100.
First never lies.
Yeah, exactly.
Bears show on the planet, bar none. Of course, we got another great show for you tonight. The Bears beat reporter from ESPN Chicago. You might have seen her on SportsCenter, First Take, or Around the Horn, but you saw her here first on Keeping It 100. Our girl, Courtney Cronin, is going to be on. So let's bring on the boys, Shane, the smartest man, Marcel, and Draft Dr. Phil.
Yo!
Yo! You can't even hear the music. It's too low this time, but it's all right.
Oh, we can hear it on our side.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine. As long as you can
But
hear
it was cutting you off like the officiating in the Bengals Chiefs game.
That was rough.
Mbappe couldn't get a call in that game, I'll tell you that.
I think Mahomes did a little flopping at the end there.
No, that was the only penalty I felt like.
No, it wasn't. It was definitely a penalty.
I was like,
Felt bad
watching
for that
car
dude,
crash.
though, man.
I felt
crying on the sideline. I mean,
I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Because I wanted to see Brunkner have to line up and get that field goal, but it is what it is. We talked a little bit about that on our pop-up show this past week on our patron side, kicking off Draft Mob, breaking down Jalen Carter. If you're not a patron, you're going to want to go over there, sign up, thetapeneverlies.com. We're already kicking off our draft coverage, and if you're in the camp that Jalen Carter isn't a top 10 football player in this draft, then you probably should go scout Mbappe in the European Football League.
Poor club.
we'll get into that debate one day. One of these days, we'll get
Jalen Carter. That was a lot of fun, Shane, to break him down and see what kind of football player that kid is. I mean, when sky's the limit.
Like we said, man, when that switch is on, he's a man child. You know, he's a man amongst boys when it's getting that switch to stay on. Like
that's the big key. That's the big key.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that on that tape that doesn't lie. Tape never lies, Caden. Caden Whitlow is in the house tonight. The producer of the Opens. I even threw his flashback there. One of my favorite things he produced. This kid has produced some good things. The Yo's by Claudio. He did that. And then he did that Open. Now we got to update that shit, Caden. Because we've had a lot of good guests on our that are getting upset. Why am I not in the Open? Why is Chris Zorich getting talked about by the president of the Chicago Bears and not me? No. But anyway.
Should we break the news that the TTNL Book Club did not have its inaugural meeting tonight like it was supposed to at 7 p.m. East?
Yes, you could. I guess you did break the news.
Everybody was prepared for it except for Phil and I because we both completely forgot, but it's all good. And then
breaking news.
Then Zorich saved us because he had something come up.
Thank God for Chris Zorich.
That was perfect.
The book club will officially start next week, Shane.
We may have to record that, right? And offer it up to the patrons.
I think we got to talk to Jim and
might have to be a special tier, you know?
Yes, a special tier.
The platinum members.
Yeah.
The reading the
we'll
book.
Go way up. We'll put it up on the fucking mountaintop. We'll call it the Mbappe tier. The highest you can go.
The Mbappe. Hey, reading The Godfather with Jim Larison and Chris Zorich.
Well, they're reading it. Phil and I are listening to it.
We're audioing it. What is that?
Audiobook. Yeah.
I used to love when I was a kid, you go to the library and the librarian would sit down and read you a book. Did you have that?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like
they had like
elementary
story time or
story
time.
time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's where I first learned how to read, read.
Barb Graham was my librarian. She used to read to me all the time.
Happy birthday to Barb Graham.
Yesterday. Yeah, I had to send her a belated today. I talked to her baby boy today on the phone, and he's like,
you did?
You didn't wish my mom a happy birthday, did you? And I said, is it today? He's like, no, it was yesterday. Actually, I won't tell you what I said. It's probably a little bit too graphic for this show. Angelo, do you remember Greg Braggs?
No.
Either does his mom, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, man, this off season is in full swing. I don't know what the fuck Denver's doing, but Swing and a miss, and fuck it. Let's give up the farm for a.
Did they come out with what they've given up?
Yeah, 2023 first rounder that they got from Miami for the Bradley Chubb trade.
Okay.
And what is it? Is it a second rounder next year? And then Denver.
Well, first this
Denver,
year.
yeah, Denver gets back
Second.
a third. They swap second and thirds next year, but they're getting a first rounder this year.
Is the coach worth a first rounder in your opinion?
Well, my biggest issue is you've given up 4 first-round draft picks, $275 million just
because
for
you're
quarterback.
throwing Russell Wilson in here.
And if you, it's not. I mean, that price point to me is multiple Super Bowls or bust. And Russell Wilson's 34. Going to be 35 years old? We'll see. I don't think it works out for Denver.
Here's my thing for people. This is where I always say coaching is the most important free agent. You're going to get some answers there in Denver because people like Kyle Brandt, who everybody knows, I would love to have Kyle on the show to address some of his flip-flopping fanboy, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Buffalo, whoever he's a fan of in the moment, took some really harsh shots at Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson became easy to pile on. Now you get a coach in there. If Russell Wilson starts playing the way I believe Russell plays, you could see what kind of coaching.
I just don't know why. I mean, that was a big time fall off for him this year, and it's not like he doesn't have talent out there.
I was gonna say he's got some talent too. So.
If Justin Fields,
coach didn't make him miss those fucking throws.
Coaching, personnel, play calls, all of these things play a role into this stuff.
Yeah, so I always look back to we talked to oh God, I shouldn't be blanking on his name. We call him the quarterback guru. He covers the Patriots. Why am I blanking on his name? Mark Schofield.
Oh, Schofield.
Yeah, Schofield, and then Matt Waldman kind of backed it up and saying, yeah, you want to let Russ cook. You may not like the results. That was the whole thing. Let Russ cook. And they kind of held him back a little bit in Seattle. That's where that, phrase came from. And Matt Waldman and Schofield, to a man, said, they're not letting him cook for a reason. If he can stay within structure, then you'll like it a little bit. I just don't know if you're gonna see a big change from a guy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look at Seattle. I mean,
yeah,
with Geno Smith, I mean, they didn't skip a beat. They played better with Geno
That's
Smith.
That's what I'm saying.
Say about Russell Wilson,
What does that say about Pete Carroll?
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. Is like I've always been, and Shane could attest, a huge Pete Carroll fan ever since he pinched my ass playing 3-on-3 basketball. He did. True story. He's trying to get every.
Never been in a game like that, but I guess whatever floats your boat.
When you're doing a pick, he's sitting there fucking grabbing you, pushing you. He was a competitor. He did not want to lose. I thought I told the story to you guys when me, Wayne Corbett, and Jeff Bacchetti played against.
Is this the 5'8" and under men's league?
Yeah,
or what?
we were small. We were small.
8-foot rims.
Let me tell you, fucking Wayne Corbett,
oh yeah,
5'10", could throw 2-hand dunks down on alley oops I was giving him.
What about you?
I know I'm short, right? I was strictly the point guard delivering. But listen, we made it to the finals on a 3-on-3 bat. Anyway, he was the head coach of the Jets, or the defensive coordinator I forget. And he had a coach and one player, number 22, safety out of Texas A&M. The hell was his name? He was he was a baller. God, I forgot his name. Anyway, look him up on the Jets for me, somebody in the chat. Out of Texas A&M, a safety who was throwing. Wayne Corbett was guarding him. And let me tell you, we ended up beating Coach Carroll, but he was a competitor, setting hard picks, pushing.
This sounds like a Jackal story. Getting hard, setting picks, pushing. He hurt me significantly.
Coming on the plane after Dallas.
Let me ask you, Phil, would you have been in the camp of giving up multiple draft picks for Sean Payton under the circumstances that Denver is already in, giving up all of the assets that they've given up for Russell Wilson?
Oh, God.
I mean,
I think
the way that I look at it, I mean, they can,
because you've already committed to Russell.
Yeah.
Now you have to solidify that. I just think back to Sean Payton talking.
But I mean, don't forget, you can go out and pay whatever. There's no cap on coaches. It doesn't have to be paid.
You're doing a proven commodity.
Right, but I mean, there's other proven coaches out there that you can go after and throw a boatload of cash at, and you're not giving up the draft.
Super Bowl winning
draft pick.
You got to find this guy's this guy's a great coach.
Yeah. Well, they tried for Harbaugh.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They probably tried, and Harbs didn't come through. So now you're like,
and then Sean Payton was their third option.
Who was the first?
Oh, wow.
They wanted
Harbaugh.
They wanted the guy that. Well, I don't know who was first between Harbaugh and DeMeco Ryans were the first two choices.
Well, listen, I'm all about the coach. So if I've already got the quarterback that I believe in, and I'm a big believer in Russell Wilson. Oh, DeMeco Ryans, was he the?
Yeah, DeMeco Ryans and Jim Harbaugh. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So I'm supporting what I'm already in now. And I'm in a situation where I got to get this ship righted. And I would do it. Yeah. I'm thinking about it here.
They're going to be in essentially 3 first rounders.
Well, they traded away a pick that they traded for.
Well, they gave up players and a bunch of ones. And what would they give him? $265 million. So you're probably going to add another $100 million to what you're paying Sean Payton, and another first round pick. So you're essentially investing.
I'm not worried about what they're paying Sean Payton. Are you?
No. I'm just talking about what the total compensation is for two guys. And to me, it's multiple Super Bowls or bust, or it's a massive failure.
What if it's just one Super Bowl? I'm
giving
taking one Super Bowl.
Oh, I would take it too. I'm just saying.
It's like,
but you don't have a lot of.
It's something that's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of assets moving forward. That's for sure.
Well, you got second round picks.
Well,
you got a coach and a quarterback now.
Yeah,
that's what you are really trying to find. It's going to be interesting to watch that team and see what how much a coach matters. I'll go on the record and believe that that's going to turn into a winning organization.
How you look at the AFC West, where would you put Denver?
Well, it's way too early right now.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you just put Sean Payton in there with Russell Wilson. You're talking, it's a pretty good division that they're.
It's a great division
that they're dealing with.
Yeah. So you got the Chiefs, the Raiders are in limbo there. So you got the Chargers, who also have. If I had to choose between Andy Reid and Sean Payton, I think who I would choose. Who would you?
Andy Reid.
Oh, Phil wouldn't choose Andy Reid.
No,
not at all.
Why not?
Yeah. That's a whole other show.
Yeah, I mean,
Chargers are another team. They need to get rid of that coach.
They kept the coach.
I know.
They kept them.
I know.
So I put Denver right on the heels of the Chiefs. The Chiefs obviously
put them above the Chargers.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that Sean Payton is going to make a world of difference. The other thing, Eric McMillan. Look at Ryan Cox. That's exactly who it was. That is exactly, and he was an athlete.
Another short dude. This was the 5'8".
McMillan was not short.
5'8", bro.
6'2". You're thinking of the other McMillan.
God, 60. You're
McMillan was like
you're measuring with a
6'1",
Bryce Young ruler. He wasn't 6'2".
Get his height, Ryan Cox. I'm telling you. Well, he was the tallest guy on the court.
Jesus Christ, that takes a lot. Could have set my son there. He would have been the tallest. He's 11.
We beat Howard Cross. Remember him, former Giant tight end?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Howard Cosell.
No,
that's not impressive.
Not Howard Cosell. Howard Cross, former Giant, and Fred Baxter, who ended up playing for the Bears.
For the Bears, tight end.
Yes.
Fred was he number 88 or 86 for the Bears? I can't remember.
He was 84, actually.
84 was? Yeah, that's right.
Yes, 84.
Yeah.
84. Speaking of 84, she might have been born in 84. I don't know. But I'm excited because
she's not smiling, so you must be wrong.
She's so pissed. She's probably pissed at me now. Jeez. All right, we'll get the real bird.
Well, that's still a lot younger. That's still a lot younger than we are. So I'd like
exactly. I was born in 73. Let's just put that in perspective. For God's sake.
You are old as shit. Short and old. Yes. That's a hell of a combo. Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a short life, let me tell you. Anyway, speaking of short, Shane shorted us on redoing her intro.
Shane didn't.
Yes,
Shane
didn't write the new intro. Thanks.
We're gonna intro her with the old intro.
Throwback. Some of this stuff you gotta erase from your brain. And then when she comes back on, you'll understand how awesome she is. One of our favorite guests. You know her from ESPN 1000, as well as Claudio. Did a great job in the Open. What was she on, Claudio? Sports Center.
Parents on Sports Center, Around the Horn, First Take.
She's
blowing up.
She's blowing
my son
up.
says every time Courtney's on Around the Horn, she wins. Every time I watch.
Hey,
makes
winners
good
gotta win.
points.
Maybe she could coach for the Bears too. And we'll start winning. That's if I got hired, Courtney would definitely be on my staff. Where she would coach, I'm gonna think about during this show. Let's bring her out though. The TTNL way, you know her, ESPN's Bears beat reporter, one of the best question asker. And the grades of the season are coming out as we get to the off season, as we lead up to the draft. Where's Courtney gonna finish? 1, 2, or 3? That's gonna be revealed in the coming weeks. Here we go. Let's bring her out. Courtney Cronin.
With all the changes the Bears made this offseason, it also includes new beginnings for members of the media. Even though she covered the team in purple that continues to throw gobs of guaranteed money at Kirk Cousins.
No, God!
But more importantly, Chicago and Chicago Bears fans are excited to welcome her back home where she belongs. Yes, there are big shoes to fill, but she's just the one to fill them, and we couldn't be happier about it. Bears fans, TTNL fans, please stand up and brush off and ESPN Radio. She's Courtney Cronin.
Go Bears!
Damn.
There she is.
I missed that. I haven't heard that in a while. Because remember, you told me that you were getting me a new intro.
Yeah,
I like that one. Like, I don't think that
terrible.
Will go away. I think that we should, resurrect that one when we need to.
There's got to be some elements kept in that, but you're a veteran now.
Yeah.
And you're one of our repeating favorite guests. So
and you definitely weren't born in 1984. I just looked it up. So
1990. You got to spot me a good years there. Like today is my 32nd and a half birthday.
There you
Holy cow.
We're
Happy
holding on to our
32nd.
early 30s for as long as possible because I heard that once you hit 35, everything goes downhill. So
Oh, it does. It's
Hopefully
very
Wait till
true.
you reach 49.
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah,
that,
yeah. Just don't wait and have kids when you're 45 years old, like
Oh
when
my
I had
God.
my
I can
daughter
tell you that's
at
true.
45. That's a massive mistake, Courtney. But that's a whole different show.
Welcome back, kid.
Thank you.
1990. You are a kid. Holy cow. You know, I was a sophomore in 1990 in high school. That gives you perspective. There you go.
I can appreciate that.
Okay. Well, I can appreciate you because, as Ben Ricketts is saying here, one of our fan favorites, but also me and Shane's favorite, you changed the mic volume at Hallis Hall and became a legend.
We'll have to send her that clip.
Did that end up becoming a thing that actually like carried on throughout the rest of the season? Could you hear the questions better?
The
Oh my
next,
God.
literally it was like the very next game. You were on with us on a Wednesday, and then Sunday we were doing BHL, and we came out and we heard the first question. We're like, "Holy shit, Courtney did it!" Everybody in the crowd was like,
the whole crowd was saying it.
I don't know if I can
Chat
take
room.
credit for it, but I remember when you texted me like, wow, we can actually hear the questions now. Because when I go back into the press box after the locker room and post game stuff, like I use my iPhone to record because it's just, I can link it right onto my computer, and you're so far away that it's hard to hear the questions. So you go to the live
you and
stream.
Potsy both, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to hear the questions on the live stream. Like, what did they ask? And then like sometimes the transcripts take a long time to get, like the ones that the team will put out. So I have no idea what half the questions are, like unless you're in there if you walk in late. So however that got fixed, I'm glad that I'll go ahead and take credit for it. I have no issue with that, but I'm glad it got fixed.
They fixed it, and then they fucked it all up for the Kevin Warren intro.
Yeah, Kevin Warren.
That it was, the live stream stopped, and then
I heard about that. I had people in Minnesota texting me like, "Hey, what happened?" I'm like, "Why are you asking me? I'm not running the live stream." But a lot of Vikings people, because of his ties up there, were shooting me texts during it, being like, "Oh my God, like, what's happened? We wanted to watch Kevin, and I guess they weren't able to after a certain point." So that's kind of a bummer.
I just blame Ted Phillips. Yeah, he was just like
a parting gift on the way out.
Yeah.
You guys getting too much love. Nobody loved me like this. Let's start there, though, Courtney.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of people DMing me today and saying, "Oh, we got to get Courtney to talk about Kevin Warren," because you guys obviously overlap. But start there. Just talk about the man and any experience that you had with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a home run hire. I don't think you could have had a bigger stakes higher than that. And it's not often that you see Power 5 conference commissioners becoming, presidents of NFL teams. And for this team specifically to make this hire from outside, it's so rare. It's unprecedented. That's the word I feel like we use throughout January for so many different things. And it really embodies what this hire is for the Bears, because fourth president in team history, president and CEO, and he's the first one that hasn't been tied into the organization previously. Like, think about that. This organization is 103 years old. The other presidents were somehow related to George Hallis or had a McCaskey, influence in there too. And then there was Ted, who was promoted after 23 years initially, in the organization, which is it's time. Like, and I think that with this being their most pivotal offseason probably ever, given everything that's like stacked up, whether it's a new team president, the prospect that by the end of the first quarter, they will close on the land in Arlington Heights, and Kevin Warren and his expertise in building stadiums. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to US Bank Stadium. I know a lot of Bears fans have, because it's a quick, easy flight up to Minneapolis. I spent 5 years covering games there. That place is palatial. And if you think about all of the elements that make that stadium great, it's not just great infrastructure, it's the fan experience, which Kevin is like, there's no costs are spared for things like that. He goes over the top with stuff with selling ownership on, hey, this is why we need all these little things. There's not a detail that's not accounted for. So for me, somebody who loves to go to stadiums and, check out new ones, cross them off my list, I'm really excited to see what he can bring to the table with that. But it's all of those things, which are technically the non-football side, right? Even though all of that is football. And then there's the free agency prospect of a team that has nearly $99 million in salary cap space and the number 1 overall draft pick. Justin Fields is the quarterback going forward. All of these things, if you're a Bears fan getting past the 3-14 season, like this, the light at the end of the tunnel is there. Now you can see what this thing is going to project out to be. Will they get there in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10 years? Who knows how long the process is actually going to be for all of those things to come to play. But nailing the team president hire was a big one. And not often not often are fans that interested in the team president, because it's not really a very visible position within the organization for a normal football fan who wants to know what the GM is going to do with the roster and what the head coach is going to do with the talent that the GM gives him. This one's different because Kevin Warren doesn't just fit into one box. He has a lot of different roles. And I imagine that when he starts here, I think the target date that I heard was April 17th. He's already working though. Like he's doing 2 jobs right now. He's still he's out in LA right now, I believe, kind of tying up some loose ends with UCLA and USC because he's the one who got those 2 member institutions part of the Big Ten. And he's still, when we talked to him, we kind of had some one-on-one individual sessions after that big press conference. He said that he feels like he's already started, and he has.
Right.
He's doing Bears business right now, laying the groundwork and getting his staff ready, but he's just not in the building on a day-to-day basis yet.
When you look at this hire, like Chris Zorich said it, you're saying it, it's not a McCaskey. And listen, we keep it 100 here. I know how much Ted Phillips, everyone could debate or whatever, but to your perspective as an outsider covering the Vikings and this great game of the NFL and looking at the Bears from afar and then coming into this, franchise and just seeing it from inside and outside, it was run like a small town thinking. Am I correct there? And this guy is a complete 180.
Yeah, I think it's really important, again, emphasizing the outside hire, that it's not somebody, because we had heard a couple names, very loosely, because early on, they, when Ted announces his retirement Dan Pompei breaks the story, and then the team officially announces it early September, right before week 1. And we know that he's going to make it through this season, but they never really said much about okay, when is his official end date? When are they going to start the replacement for the search for his replacement? Of course, they hired a search firm. George McCaskey said they had a search that was international in scope. I'd love to know who some of those international candidates are.
I know 2 of them were from FIFA.
They were trying to do this thing differently. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, we've got somebody that we can promote from within. When they're looking at other leagues, when they're looking, internationally, trying to go different places, that shows you that they know the model they've got going right now is not working. And I think the way that it's been described to me by people in the building and people that I trust who have many more years covering this team than I have, is that the issues are systemic with the Bears. It's reinventing the wheel, and a lot of it is the same problems that get passed down from generation to generation, from staff to staff within the organization. And now you have somebody who's going to come in here and shake shit up. One of the first quotes that was referenced in a story I did, that ran the day he got hired, came from a source in Minnesota who, moved from the football side to the business side back in 2000. I want to say it's 2019, right before Kevin left, and told me the story of this team meeting that they had at TCO Performance Center. Because remember, this is not normal for a lot of franchises, but the Vikings used to be spread out between. There was Winter Park, which was in Eden Prairie. That's where the team facility was. They had the big boat in front. So the football side was in one building. PR and the business side were across the street in a bank building. The design, other people on the creative side of the building, like making the game day experience. A lot of those people were downtown. TCO Performance Center was the first time everyone was under one roof. Like, that's a luxury that some other teams have. The Vikings didn't. That was all Kevin Warren's doing and getting them to Egan. And there was a meeting in 2019 where he said, this is going to be the year of being blunt. Going into an all-staff meeting, getting in front of this entire group, the football side and the business side, and just like, there's no idea too big. And the amount of bullshit that sometimes gets kind of seeps through, through the cracks. I think that he's going to be somebody who sniffs that stuff out, and things are not just going to be allowed to be status quo anymore. And I think that's a really good thing for a team that's on the cusp of something that, this is their window. You cannot mess this window up, because you don't get opportunities like this that often to move from the place that you've played football games in for the last 50 years to have you don't want to have the number 1 overall draft pick unless you lucked into it via a trade. They're sitting on a gold mine right now from the football side, the business side, the overall franchise visibility element of this whole thing. And I think it all starts with Kevin Warren guiding the ship. Now, I've seen questions pop through about what's he going to be in charge of in relation to football operations. And depending on how you ask that question to him, you'll get a different answer just about how much exactly. But I can speak to kind of the structure of what it was in Minnesota, because this is vastly different. Having polls report to him, and the fact that that was the second line in the press release that was put out back in early January, that's a considerable thing. That's a big deal. And I know that it's a structure that happened with Ted previously before he retired, because last year polls was reporting to George because they knew Ted was going to retire. But make no mistake about that. That's a big deal. And I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil and I were told by somebody that knows Kevin directly and has worked with him that there's essentially a powder keg at Hallis Hall waiting to explode, and it's going to bring all of the shadows out of the closets and out of the nooks and crannies that have been hiding there for a long, long time. Essentially what you alluded to, and they're going to be running for the trees, for the forest, because he's going to clean all of that out. And I mean, that's when I heard Danny Parkins have his comment saying that he didn't think that it was going to affect football too much. I'm like, man, you couldn't be any more epically wrong in that statement. It's going to affect everything from top to bottom, and it's going to be exactly what they need. They got to flush all of that bullshit out that Ted and George just let run rampant forever. And to me, it's so refreshing to get a guy. And I mean, the president of the Bears got shouted out by LeBron James on Twitter when he got hired.
I thought that was notable when that happened.
Yeah, it is. It just shows you his reach. It's, and doesn't it make you think Hard Knocks is going to be, he's probably going to embrace something like that, wouldn't you think?
Instead of hiding from it.
That was one of the first things that I saw after he got hired, and the day of the press conference, the amount of people who asked me on Twitter, does this mean that the Bears are going to get Hard Knocks? And typically the legacy organizations, the Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bears have kind of turned their nose up at Hard Knocks, saying, we don't need that. We don't want that. Almost acting in a way like those organizations are too good for Hard Knocks. Now, I don't know if that's a Virginia thing, if that's something that would literally have to go all the way up to the very top. And maybe who knows as to the real reasoning, who has the final say on that. But I get the point that some fans are trying to make there, hey, this is a brand new voice who might have a completely different perspective on something. Would this be good visibility for this organization? Because you can't really ask for a better script of an off season, knowing that it feels if you think about how Hard Knocks works, when they start filming at the beginning of training camp, by then we'll know probably when they're going to, assuming everything's on time with the closing of the land, that we'd know when the stadium, when they're going to, break ground on that, and relatively how quickly they'll get it built. And you'll have Fields going into year 3, an entirely new roster. I mean, it's a
perfect combination.
It's you couldn't write a better script for it, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know if they will or not.
There's 4 teams that are eligible: the Saints, Bears, Jets, and Commanders. And I just want to say this.
I can't see Washington doing that, given everything that's going on with
Exactly.
their.
You've got a whole soap opera there. The
Yeah.
Saints have drama with Sean Payton going to Denver. The Bears are the charter franchise, and it would be a giant miss, in my opinion, for the Bears to continue to hibernate when it comes to allowing access to the fans. And if Kevin's listening now, and he may very well be, I just think it's so important that the Chicago Bears start acting like big boys and not little babies, grabbing fans' cell phones and deleting shoulder pads and helmet practice plays, and being this Gestapo embarrassing franchise that I grew up loving every minute of it. And speaking of Dan Pompei, I would get the Bear Report just to read his article and see this football team. There's so much love for this team. Give a little bit back. I'm lucky enough to have experienced some behind the scenes stuff. You get to see it each and every day. So for me, it was embarrassing. And there's not a bigger penicillin than putting George where he is just a fan. Just be a fan and let Kevin do his thing. And if that means Kevin doesn't like what Ryan Poles is doing, then Kevin should be like, we need somebody else. I'm just saying that's how much power this guy should hold.
That's the setup, and that's the way that it should be. Yeah.
Ted Phillips was a glorified accountant playing a role and pretending not to play it, but it was like a Russian spy. It was just a joke of an organization. I'm sorry, but I got into a mini rant, Courtney, because it gets me
That's okay. I get it.
want to see these guys embrace the spotlight
And embrace change. Like you haven't. He's the biggest agent of change that they could have gotten. And I'll say this about Kevin Warren: the guy just negotiated 2 new member institutions to one of the premier conferences in college sports. Not just like, 2 no-name schools, UCLA and USC. The brand power there is incredible. He also negotiated a $7 billion NFL-style media agreement.
Yeah.
When everybody else is playing checkers, he's playing 3D chess. And that's a really good thing to have. And for the longevity of this franchise and like somebody to be able to steer it back on course, but also, it's in moments it's gotten so far off the tracks where it almost feels, I think, like to some that it's felt unfixable because it's just like the same thing over and over again. Like, I was thinking about this the other day when, Philly goes back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2017. I say first time kind of, sarcastically because that wasn't that long ago. Bears haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2006. Like, this should be a team now where, and of course you're not expecting this to be an overnight fix because it's not, but to become a winning franchise, you got to act like one too. That means you don't skimp on costs. That means that you give fans the best possible experience, that you become kind of the destination franchise for free agents too. You got to attract people here. And of course, having a great quarterback helps. So I think that Justin Fields, and I know what he said to us at the end of end of the season in January, that if Ryan Poles wants him to recruit, he will recruit. But all the pieces are in place for this team to get out of its own way once and for all. Get out of the pit of mediocrity. It's a hard place to rise from in the NFL. You have the tools to get there, and you have an agent of change in Kevin Warren who's not afraid to ruffle feathers to get there. Because I promise you, some of the things you'll probably hear from behind the scenes once he actually gets in the building, people who are used to doing things a certain way and have done things a certain way might be averse to it, but he's not somebody like you really can't stand in his way because he will go right through you. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all.
Right.
It's that he is a power player. He's one of the most powerful people in college athletics. I frankly thought next time we'd be seeing Kevin Warren coming back to the NFL as commissioner. And who knows? Maybe someday he will be. Right. But when your name's thrown around as like the possibility for a job like that, this is not just some average Joe Schmo or somebody who comes in and takes over a team president role and then just becomes like invisible, to the fans and is only seen behind the scenes. Like he's going to be, you're in Chicago. He's got connections everywhere. He's a power player in this market already. It's only going to be, 10 times that when he like truly steps into this role and is doing it like once he puts the Big Ten, like once he parts ways finally, it's going to be a big thing, not just for like the Bears, but I honestly think for the city of Chicago too.
I just want to say one thing and have you react to it. I'm sorry, Shane. And I want to keep it on Kevin Warren because it's the first time in my life that, I've been around this franchise where I felt like, okay, the pillar pieces are in place. The quarterback, the president and CEO has football first mentality, just like you were talking about with the Viking stadium, the little things. So as I'm listening to him speak, and everybody says, press or whatever, you can win the press. There was something different about Kevin Warren's presser, and it was the authenticity of it. That's who he is. This is what I'm going to do. And that kind of energy is so much different. And you alone could speak on that because you dealt with him in Minnesota and you see what he's doing in the Big Ten and everything you've brought to the table here. But I just think that we have never seen that kind of authenticity on how much when he used Selma, and it's like, I would walk 54 miles for the Chicago Bears. And Shane and I were like texting in the background, and Shane had a great text line. He's like, yeah, Ted would charter a jet.
Private flight, yeah.
He would charter a flight. Kevin would walk it. Talk about the authenticity of Kevin Warren and the change that will come with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's relatable, not just to, sometimes when you get around people who get into these executive level roles, they can become so insulated by corporate politics and they can only kind of speak to the level of VPs and other people who are making, 6-7 figure salaries and don't have the ability to relate to the everyday worker in the facility or relate to the fans. And I remember a friend of mine it was the summer of 2018. So it was the first training camp for the Vikings at TCO, because they used to be down, like the Bears were in Bourbonnais, they were down at Mankato State. And this was their first year doing it at their home facility. And so my friend who was working for the Warriors at the time in like their creative department doing video stuff was coming out to Minnesota to interview with Vikings Entertainment Network. And so I remember like picking her up at the airport and like, taking her to a hotel. And I was like, oh, like, what's your schedule? Who are you meeting with? Like, because remember, I used to work out in the Bay Area. So like, this is how I was connected with my friend Karina. And she was like kind of giving me her like lowdown, like, oh, I know most of the people you're going to be interviewing with. So like a couple days goes, when she's out there, then like we meet for dinner one night. And I was like, well, how did it go? Like, because I was really hoping she was going to move there. And she had told me, she's like, yeah, like, do you know who Kevin Warren is? I'm like, yes, Karina, I know who Kevin
yeah.
So like she's in the cafeteria at TCO and he just kind of pops by. Like the man was visible everywhere. Like it's not like he's hiding out in his like, executive level suite. Like he's around the facility. He's constantly interacting with people. And she was somebody there that was there on an interview. And so he stops her and sits down with her, like completely informal, asking her, what are your goals? What do you want to do here? What, like, how can we make this job appealing to you? Like to somebody who was
right.
Interviewing for a producer job, like on the Vikings Entertainment Network side of things, not somebody who's going to be working, on your general counsel, like working directly with Kevin Warren, but for the humility aspect there of what can I do to make your job great if you work here? What do you need? What resources do you need? What can I do to make this product, make you the best employee you can be here? And she wasn't even hired at that point. She ended up getting offered and then ended up staying back in Golden State and watching them win a couple more titles, which I think, was a great decision. But like, to hear those sorts of stories and to hear from people I'm still very close with the Vikings, who are kind of the everyday employee, people who might be director level, but aren't making, part of like those 6 executive vice presidents that they have,
Right.
People like you and me, the everyday employee.
Mhm.
And to hear how Kevin treated people, that, bonuses, like financial things, like coming through on promises, like that's a big
That's
deal.
huge.
And the year that the Vikings had the Super Bowl in 17, Kevin helped the Wilfs buy that team. And I talked with Mark Wilf back like right when Kevin got hired, just about kind of the impact, and really wanted to talk to him about the stadium impact. But, he made a point to talk about how he helped him and Lenny and Ziggy buy the team in 05, because Kevin was already well connected in the NFL at that point. He was working with the Detroit Lions previously, with the St. Louis Rams. And, for him to be, part of that, minority ownership group initially, and helping get that whole bid set up, and then helping the Wilfs buy that team, kind of stepping aside for them to do that. Like, he had the ear of the owners, and also could kind of influence, showing like, taking up the pulse of the building. Because remember, the Wilfs are owners that are absentee owners. They live in New Jersey. They fly in for games. Kevin was there every single day. And I know one thing that really stood out to people is that every employee in the Vikings organization that Super Bowl year got 2 tickets to go to the Super Bowl. And that was something, even the owners pay for that. And there's a lot of people who work in, think about an NFL franchise. That's a couple hundred people that you're buying tickets for. And I remember asking several people, like, how do you think that happened? That was Kevin Warren. Yes, the Wilfs purchased it, and their generosity is well established within this organization, but that's a Kevin Warren sort of move. So the way that he treats people, the lasting impact, because, he wants you got to galvanize people. You got to get people to work for you. You got to get, like, in order for you to complete a mission and for people to buy into your vision and your journey, is you got to sell them on it. And why should I be a part of this? Well, here's a million reasons why that Kevin Warren can point to. I think that that's a really promising sign for the Bears and for people who work for this team, just to be like excited to go to work, knowing that you're, coming off a really tough year, but that the culture was, the foundation was laid with this group, with Eberflus and Poles. Now you have a heavy hitter coming in who can kind of guide it even further. Like, I could not think of a better hire. And it's not just a splash hire, because I've dealt with team presidents before, from the Vikings to the Raiders to the 49ers. Like, and it's nothing against anybody else. It's just Kevin Warren carries weight to his name, and he does it in a way that he can relate to you. He can relate to owners. He can relate to somebody coming to a game for the first time. And I think it's really important.
Courtney, one of the things that you said that really just stuck out to me was when
Courtney, can you move over?
You want to see what's happening in the Nets game?
No, because they want us to block the TV because they're afraid that it's gonna hit us with a copy of the NBA. I don't know.
You think it's ESPN? I can just tell them, like, that's my company. Like,
tell them.
Exactly. I'm just the chat room is like, please guys, tell Courtney, move over a little bit and block the
that cuts enough of it out.
There you go. I'm sorry to cut you off, Shane.
No, one of the things that stuck out when you were talking about your friend and Kevin said, what can I do to make your job easier?
Mm-hmm.
If Kevin Warren came to Courtney Cronin and said that same thing, you've been with the Bears pre-Kevin Warren, and he asks you that question today, what could he do to make your job easier with what you've dealt with there?
Yeah. I think of course, it always, from a journalistic perspective, it always stems with access and being able to have. I mean, I think that the PR staff and the changes that they underwent last year, like for my first year on the beat, there's obviously good and bad with every team that you deal with, but I think like the overall, probably just like access in general. Like you want to feel more connected to the team that you're covering, not just like locker room availability or having, the coach available on certain days or assistants. I think it's more, who are the other people in the building? Who are the decision makers? Put those people out in front, because like you want fans to know that, because obviously smart people know an organization is run not just by the head coach and the general manager. There's a ton of other people who are the ones turning the wheel every single day. Let those people come front and center. What I really got to commend Ryan Poles for, and I hope that this will continue again this year, is the press conferences that they did during the draft. We got scouts, like the area scouts. Yep. And I remember that was my first time ever dealing with anybody other than like a director of player personnel or the college scouting director that typically comes out after a couple picks. That's at least how it was in Minnesota. Last year, Poles doing that, I thought was an incredibly smart and transparent move, because the people, like, they're relying on the area scouts and the national scouts, like their expertise on why they're choosing these guys for the background. So those people can speak to it because they're the ones covering these territories. Exactly. So moves like that, more things like that, being able to see how the sausage is truly made. Some NFL teams don't want to do that. And I get it. This is a league built on secrecy, a league that protects the shield. But for somebody who, notably has gone and shaken things up every stop he's been at, I think that those are things that you can build upon that actually enhance the value of your product instead of diminish it.
Let's look at this football team now, 3-13. Where is your focus now? The Bears have the first round pick. We'd be remiss how you feel this team should be built. Is there a big feeling for you that Justin Fields is that guy, and the Bears need to try to trade down? Or do you secretly love Justin and try to, maybe we're going to take a quarterback and get people to want to trade up? Is there a feeling from you in regards to what the Bears will or should do when it comes to the draft?
I think they will trade back. I think it makes too much sense for a number of reasons. But before I even get into that, because I know early on, if you had even hinted at the idea that they might take a quarterback, a certain section of this fan base would just not want to hear any of that. And I understand it, but you're not doing you don't ever want to be in this spot, seriously, because
don't worry, I said the same thing. Got a lot of hate mail.
But you would not be doing your due diligence if you didn't entertain the idea. And trust me, when Poles said what he said during his season-ending press conference, that he would have to be blown away by somebody in the draft to take him, I absolutely believe that, because it's never a guarantee that just trade one first-round pick for another and that next first-round pick is going to pan out. Like, what you have in Justin Fields right now. You know that he is far from a finished product, but at least from what you saw this year, that you have enough to evaluate him on to say, hey, if these certain things change, he can take the next step. I think Poles is approaching this thing in terms of how he talks about the improvement that he expects next season in a very marked and calculated way, which is what he needs to do. When he says, we just want to get better, because he's not trying to hamstring himself to, oh God, we've got to go from 3 wins to 9 wins next year. We have to go take the North. He said that his first press conference when he was hired. You haven't really heard him utter anything to that degree again. And I think it's smart. But where I stand on it right now, you have 4 to 6 potentially teams in the top 10 alone that are looking for quarterbacks that will either go to free agency or they'll end up trying to draft one. And of course, this is the time for draft simulators and trade, fake trades and fun things like that, because that's what's going to happen the next couple weeks and months. And, the staff right now is down at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
This is where informal conversations, things are drawn up in hypotheticals. Like, where do you think the conversation about Russell Wilson getting traded to the Denver Broncos started? It started at the Senior Bowl last year. It was this week because he was traded, I want to say it was like March 15th. It was right before free agency.
Yes.
It might have been like March 13th, something like that. Those conversations don't just manifest itself like one GM calls somebody out and says, hey, want to get this done? All right, bet, let's like do it tonight. It doesn't happen like that. These are things that get massaged because it's a game of telephone, more or less, because you throw offers out there, you throw ideas out there and see if it sticks, if somebody's talking, and then knowing the leverage that you're going to have. So I think the Bears will end up trading back. There's too much good that can come from having the additional first round pick in 2024. And that's how Ryan Poles wants to build a team. He wants to build teams through the draft. I know he has a ton of draft capital to do that this year, but also a ton of financial resources to build a roster in free agency, which he will. But when it comes to that overall number one pick, I'm not so sure that there's a generational talent in a CJ Stroud, a Bryce Young, a Will Anderson, the Anthony Richardson, not Will Anderson. Who's the other quarterback I'm forgetting here? Will Levis.
Levis.
None of those names jump off the page. Like if it was a Trevor Lawrence, the conversation, and even then, I don't know. Like if I had seen, if he was in a different draft class, if there was a version of him out there, having seen what we saw from Fields this year, it's never a guarantee that the next guy is going to be so much better than what you have. And Fields still has so much more runway here before he even takes off, right? Like, so I think that that's something that the Bears want to explore further. And you got to be careful too when you think about a team that's going to look very different again next season. And think about what they did and all that came out after they blew up the locker room, more or less, again, in the middle of the season by trading Quinn and trading Roquan Smith. Like you don't want to play with fire, like by doing it moreover and trading the guy that has the defense and the offense vouching for him. Like those comments that Justin Jones was making following the final game where he's talking about, imagine when we get him in a quote actual system, what it look like. You've got a defensive tackle saying that. That's not just like one of your guys on offense. That's somebody on the other side of the ball. So very clearly, that would be a shakeup I don't think this team wants to make going into this offseason because that stuff lingers longer than most people realize. And when you have somebody who is the unquestioned leader of this team and does everything right off the field, and when you can have him take steps in certain areas to get better in certain things on the field, I don't feel like it's like getting off a winning horse at that point. I don't think they want to do that.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest underrated things about if you potentially moved him is, we talked to Darrington Evans, and he says that Justin is an alpha in the locker room. So just take talent away from it. You bring in Bryce Young, you bring in CJ Stroud. You have no idea if those guys are an alpha in the locker room. And that's exactly what you want from a quarterback, with a franchise that's never had that. We were talking about 104 years. We've never had it at that position. But Courtney, I'm a big fan of Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, but I heard you say, talking about the generational talents at quarterback, these guys are extremely good. I wouldn't put them in the generational talent category as defenders. We've had a talk here that are the Bears, if you want to go down to 4 and get some additional draft compensation. But then I always look back at a team like Carolina. Yes, you're going way back, but you could get a whole bunch more back and maybe potentially, like a Brian Burns coming back or the wide receiver DJ Moore coming back or something.
We got a lot of really young players on that roster. Really good young core.
Yep. They have a first, they have 2 seconds and 2/3 from the McCaffrey deal. Do you think, everybody, when they're talking about the Bears trading down, most of them are saying, Houston or Indy. How much do you think that maybe even an additional move down to stay within the top 10 is in play?
I mean, you heard what David Tepper said, that they want to draft and develop somebody.
Yep.
So these are clues. And of course, Chris Ballard's comments when when he was asked, I think the question was like, would you move heaven and earth to get the guy? If your guy was sitting up there, would you move heaven and earth to get him? And he said yes to that. Though That's all stuff that Ryan Poles can use as leverage. Now, of course, in press conference settings, people are going to try to, GMs, whoever, are going to try to say the right thing. But, when it comes from the owner, that's different, because then Scott Fitterer takes his marching orders and Frank Reich takes his marching orders from David Tepper and says, okay, well, they want to draft and develop somebody. So does that mean that's going to completely preclude them from getting into free agency to find somebody? No, but let's think about it. Who are the realistic options? You think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to Carolina? Nope. You think Derek Carr is going to go to Carolina? I don't know. And we know Tom Brady's not coming back for right now, at least that's right now. But, I just don't think that the free agent pool, I don't think the draft pool is all that deep where you can afford to wait if you are a team, especially a team like Carolina that has not been able to get the quarterback. They had stability with Cam Newton. That stability went out the window in 2018. They have not had it since. So how do they get back there for an owner who bought this franchise not that long ago and is growing impatient after owning a team for, 5-6 years? That's the sort of leverage you can use to your advantage if you're Ryan Poles in trying to, garner more draft capital. And what you could do at 9, I don't know. There will be excellent players available at 9. Will Jalen Carter be there? Will Will Anderson be there? Probably not. But will Peter Skoronski be there? Will Paris Johnson be there? The offensive linemen that will start to fall off the board, we expect, past 5. Maybe that's a route that you go, and that you don't end up taking the best possible, defender in the draft, but you can address that position. If you get remember, they don't have their own second round pick, which was effectively a first round pick at this point because of where it was in the draft order. If you could get another swing at it early in the second round or even late in the first round, then I just think that's a great spot for them to be in.
Yeah, and if you go down with Carolina, you're getting 2 2s, a 1 and 24. I mean,
the 1 and 24 is key, Corey.
Yes.
You mentioned it, and I want to, pick your brain here, because I've said this many times, and you and I are on the same page here. I don't try to make friends here. I just want a winner, and you have to be in your pocket. We don't know what Justin is as a quarterback, because it's a hard analysis, because the offensive line sucked. The play caller's learning on the job as an OC. There's a new head coach, a new system. He's coming from that. So we know there's question. So now you got to, and Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all of this energy. Everything Justin is I'm not taking anything away from the guy. I'm just saying that position is so important, and the Bears have not had it. Does it look like he's not a clean quarterback right now, but there's reasons. So now you get that first in your pocket next year and your own. And that gives you an opportunity that now we're going to see year 2 of Justin Fields. And you could say, are we going to be up there again? Or is that pick that we're trading to Carolina going to give us Caleb Williams next year? That's how you have to do the best for the Chicago Bears. Am I right there?
Yeah, because, when you cap plan and when you plan for a couple years out, you've got to think, the teams that you're trading with, are they, especially if they're in the top 10, could they be there again next year and give you kind of like the Denver situation? Seattle has their picks. So Seattle's got, aren't they drafting 3rd or 4th?
5th. Well, look at Philly's in the Super Bowl and they're drafting 10th because they have New Orleans pick. It's crazy.
It's those sorts of things where it's not just thinking for the short term of what the draft capital can return you, but what about the following year? If you expect that team to not be very good that you're trading with, that can benefit you. So the idea there, if it's Carolina, which I think Frank Reich's going to get that. Think about where they've been. Steve Wilkes deserves so much credit for getting that team to be playing for the NFC South title all the way up until week 18. They're not that far off. I really believe that. So would their first round pick next year be out of the top 10? Maybe, but at least I don't think you're going to be getting a pick that's 30th if you're trading with Carolina and then getting their 2024 first rounder, but you'd still be getting probably a top 15 pick at that point, maybe just outside of that, which of course, again, becomes draft like capital that you can leverage towards something else. You don't have to stay there, but
right.
The building through the draft process and getting those additional first rounders, that to me that's how he's going to navigate that board based on what these teams, like a team like Houston, they're a long ways away. It's not just, I mean, at least in Carolina, you got JC Horn, Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, DJ Moore, Ike Ekwonu. Like they've got a lot of young pieces where I think that their trajectory towards getting back to winning ways, they're closer to that than Houston is. So of course, and probably closer than a team at the Colts, because I feel like we know that the Colts have some good pieces. They don't have a lot of wide receivers, but they've got a guy like Jonathan Taylor. What does he look like coming off injury? Who knows how that's going to affect things? If you're looking at teams that are going to be in the same spot or like similar spot next year, you're probably looking at a Colts or a Houston instead of, I mean, throw the Raiders in the mix too. They're there at 7 and they need a quarterback. Who's to say they don't want to get involved? But like, what does that mean for them beyond next season? Because that could affect like, you know, the position that you think that team could be in. Obviously, we can't project the future, but that could factor in, I think, to Poles' decision of who he does business with.
I think Vegas is more in the vet market with, I'm blanking on their head coach, his
Josh
name.
McDaniels?
Yeah, McDaniels. I think they'll go with the vet. You know, Jimmy G would have a history with him there, but you know, I just look at Carolina and I feel what's that?
Not going to be Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's Tampa in this trade.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, we have to talk about it. You know, we talk about the Colts, and you can say Chris Ballard all you want, and they have an owner that's a little bit off center, we'll say. Yeah, and you know, the whole Jeff Saturday thing, and if he came right out in that Athletic article and said that he's absolutely sick to his stomach about recycling veteran quarterbacks, and he wants his, you know, young guy. And, you know, if the owner gets involved, if Irsay gives a directive, go get up to number 1, no matter what, things can get crazy really, really quick. And that's what that's my biggest concern with Ryan Poles, is he's got to be an absolute dog throughout this process, you know, and he's got to stick to his guns, and he's got to use Houston against Indy and vice versa, and Carolina and all this. And it's like you said, this is the most pivotal offseason in Chicago Bears history. I feel like I really do.
I think she's 100% right. If you're just tuning in, we have the great friend of the network, great Bears beat reporter for ESPN and ESPN 1000. She's all over the place. She's around the horn. And she's awesome. I truly love and appreciate her opinion. She knocks it out of the park every time. If you're not following her on Twitter or Instagram, check your Instagram. Don't follow the fake Courtney Cronin.
Oh my God. Is that thing still out there?
No,
that means you've made it, Courtney.
But like, all right. So the thing was, last week, like a friend of mine texted me like, "Hey, looks like you got hacked." I was like, "I got hacked? What?" And I was like, "No, he sent me a screenshot. It was somebody else, like with my Twitter handle. They copied my picture and then they like fudged my bio and they put like an underscore at the end."
Yeah.
So I searched for it. The account had blocked me.
Yeah.
And then I like, go search this account, see if it's still active. And they sent me a guess active. I'm like, all right, block it, like, or report it. And so I go to Instagram to try to report it, and it's like, which account are you trying to report? And it wouldn't let me because the account blocked me. So I'm relying on the people.
I had to report it.
Bills of the world to go and do my dirty work of trying to get this person booted off Instagram for impersonating me.
It was that goddamn Larry Mayer, wasn't it?
I thought Courtney was following me. Maybe she re-upped her account, and then I reached out. She's like, "Yeah, I reported it, but you report yourself over there. Follow her there." Courtney, I want to ask you this: your belief, keep it 100 now. First year, obviously, the head coach, Matt Eberflus. What are your thoughts on him? Year 1, hits, loafs, all of that. But the guy, as far as the leader of the Bears going forward in this huge offseason.
Yeah, I think he did a solid job for what he inherited, knowing that the second he gets there, they trade his best defensive player within a couple months. And nobody realistically thought this season was going to be easy. And I think it was actually harder than this team expected, considering they come out in week 7 and they beat the Patriots, and, they're going into the Dallas game, which was the pivotal decision there for them deciding, are we going to try to contend for maybe a 7 seed, be, on the bubble of the playoffs, or are we going to try to tear this thing down even further, which again hurt his defense when they traded Roquan Smith.
The next day.
Yeah, I think given the circumstances, it was, he in establishing a culture here, I think a lot of that stuck, because this was never a locker room, just from my perspective, that felt like a 3-win team. Like, I covered the 49ers in 16, and they were a 2-win team there. You could tell that locker room felt like a team that had a, kind of a tough situation where Chip Kelly was out after a year. The turnover was just remarkable that organization had. And now it's kind of crazy when you think about, you finally get the head coach right, you get the GM right, and they, are contending for NFC titles, every other year it feels like. But, the knocks on Eberflus after this first year are towards the end of the season, where you get outclassed by Detroit. And it's just embarrassing the way that, just fundamental things where, routinely getting 400, 500 yards of offense put up against your defense. I think that this was, for someone like Matt Eberflus, we're going to be able to judge him on the adjustments he makes in terms of schematically, because you should never have your rookie safety leading the team in sacks. That should not happen, because it's only happened one other time, when Jamal Adams did it in 2020 with Seattle. And that was, very much the end of the Legion of Boom, and they were, hanging on by a thread, more or less. That's not, I just think that, I pulled the pass rush, for example, because I feel like we ask about
great point.
And it's tough, because that hurts what your secondary is able to do. And those are schematic adjustments, because when your defensive ends lining up over the outside shoulder of the tackle routinely, and it's the same rush pattern every single time, and it becomes predictable to people watching it, is there something schematically that you can change? Because I feel like they had to change their philosophy. This is not a defense that blitzes a lot, at least not historically. When you go through the tree and where he comes from with his Dallas background before Indy, I think that that's something that they had to try to adjust on the fly. They did, with Alan Williams dialing up blitzes and trying to figure out different ways to attack opposing quarterbacks. The personnel is a problem. The 3 technique is the most important position on this team. That is going to be one that they address either in free agency or one in the draft. No, it's no disrespect to what they have on the roster right now, but if you don't have the premier positions played by premier players, then you're going to be in the situation no matter what the scheme is. But I don't think that the scheme necessarily fits the modern day NFL, where you're trying to get pressure with 4 down linemen. That's a coaching thing. So we'll really be able to tell the adjustments Matt Eberflus makes based on, what happens next season with the personnel they do have. Because there aren't many coaching changes. James Rowe left for USF back at end of the season, and they just replaced him today, and there really weren't any other big coaching changes. So the crew that you had on defense last year is going to, we think, these are typically, you don't see much movement after a staff's already kind of been set. Usually contracts expire 10 days after the season ends. Be different in this case because they were all first-year head coaches here. Nonetheless, if anybody's going to be fired, it would have already happened by now.
Right.
So I think that that's something where him and his staff, he must feel pretty confident that his staff can get this thing turned around next year. But as far as the overall job this year, you're dealing with a group that was just diminished with talent. It lacked everywhere. And schematically, I don't think there was enough done that you can, there's really not much that you could have done. You'll see those scheme adjustments if they actually pan out and are the right ones when you have personnel that can play to the standards, or you're not like playing replacement players more or less.
You're going to see a lot of money spent opening night of
They have
free
to.
agency with the Bears because
There's
they have
cash,
to.
There's a cash floor that they actually have to meet. I mean, that's something that
What is it? $235 million. They'll have to
PFF
spend.
Brad said that it's between 230 and 240 million in cash that they're going to be required to spend. And if they don't spend it, that gets turned over to the NFL and dispersed amongst the teams. So there's no way.
There's no
but I mean,
not to.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's
They better spend.
It sounds like a ton of money, but I mean that includes extensions and stuff like you go out and I mean the Bears have so much cap space they can essentially go out and sign the top 3 free agents and
they don't need to be worrying about cuts this year. Like, we need to save. If you end up cutting players and taking on dead cap money, which his team has shown that has no issue doing, it's because you think you can upgrade. It's not, we need to cut this player because we're trying to save money against the cap, which is the Eddie Jackson argument of, is he worth having the 7th highest cap hit for a safety? Well, you really don't need to save any of that money. And he was, playing really well before he got the Liz Frank injury. So if you expect him to be back at that level, then you keep him and you don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, the Bears have 2 players making, 10+ million, and it's Eddie and I think Cody Whitehair are the only 2.
They have a lot of guys on 1-year deals and a lot of guys on rookie contracts still, so they'll spend a lot. I mean, free agency, this will probably be the busiest free agency that I've ever covered, and I covered one where a team got a franchise quarterback. In 2018 with Kirk Cousins, but this will be different because there's so many different needs. And honestly, like when you think about the wide receiver group and knowing how big of a need that is, it might not just be free agency. I always call free agency trade agency now because of how many trades we see pulled off during that time frame in March.
You could see them absorbing a wide receiver's big contract.
They have to.
Because they have to spend. So now you could take on a Hopkins from Arizona and bring him to Chicago and absorb.
Mike Evans is going to be in the discussion. I mean, Brady retiring in whatever direction they go. With. But stay there, Courtney. What are your thoughts on them bringing in a veteran wide receiver like a Hopkins or an Evans or is there somebody else that you have in mind potentially?
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was a name I floated out there.
I'm with you.
It was right after the Kyler Murray injury on that Monday night game. Was that against San Francisco? I remember I was on air that night. I was thinking, I'm like, damn, that looks really serious. And then you think, okay, ACL injury, late November, early December. He's not going to be back for a year, probably at that point. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, on the other side of 30 and knowing that, he's still in his prime right now, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to be playing with a quarterback who can help me get closer to winning. Because think about, last time he won was that year where, Deshaun Watson had arrived in Houston, and that was his last best season. So I think there's a lot there that's left in the tank with someone like him. Same with Mike Evans too. So, I think for Justin Fields there's no longer the excuse of, they didn't put enough weapons around him. Like, you have the resources to do it. You have to get
exactly.
Guys are still under contract with other teams. And we know that the free agent market is not that great at the position. I remember asking Poles about that the day that they traded for Claypool, saying, hey, did you factor into your decision? Because, Alan Lazard and Juju Smith-Schuster are some of the bigger names. Like, that's kind of it in terms of like marquee names in this year's free agent class at the wide receiver position, which I think would lead you to believe, okay, since it's not a great draft for it either, next year is, but you're not waiting until next year. You're probably going to have to get creative with trades to get reliable pass catching threats for Justin Fields in here. Cause we just saw it just wasn't up to par. Like, we just did a redraft, which I don't know if they ran it or not. And we did a 2-round redraft. And so of course, I sat out the first round because the Bears didn't have any picks. So I saw all the guys that you would expect, guys who were taken in the second round, the George Pickens of the world, they went early on, and it got to me in the second round, and I took Brisker with my second round pick. So at 39, right? It was 39 and 48. And then with 48, instead, like, I took Sky Moore. Then people are gonna be like, well, why? Like, he had 25 something catches for 250 yards. It's more than 6 receivers that were on last year's team. And he was so far down the start in Kansas City. Like, imagine had he not had all that competition in front of him as a rookie, what he would have done. And he still had over 20 catches and 250 yards, being like the 8th or 9th guy on that depth chart. So again, you got to think about those sorts of things, because again, like, until Chase Claypool proves himself, and the jury is still going to be out on him. And you can't just say, okay, well, he'll come on. It's expected right now. Cole Kmet, he'll come on. We saw flashes of it. No, you have to go out and upgrade that, and upgrade it aggressively during free agency. And that's going to come at the cost of potentially giving up some of that draft capital that you're holding on to trade for players on other people's rosters.
Yeah,
if you're not loving Courtney Cronin, I don't know what to tell you. Born in 1990, Courtney Cronin.
Year of the I believe is my.
Are you thrown off with not seeing the wood paneling behind her? You're in the new place now, right?
I know. I need to get back up there to my mom's basement at some point, because like I was gonna do a show from up there last week, but my timing didn't work. I'm like, I haven't been in that basement in a while. I think the last time I did the show, during the preseason, I was down there. So it's
Your
a little
mom
different.
lost her bags the last time we talked.
Yes, because they were in Ireland to go watch Northwestern, the one game they won last year. Imagine that.
Was she able to find her luggage?
They ended up getting them back. I know that it was a very tenuous situation while your luggage is lost internationally. I hope that never happens to anybody, because you never know if you're going to get it back or not. But they did get it back, and they enjoyed their trip. They just did not enjoy the Northwestern season this year.
According to sources, your mom was only concerned with her Keepin It 100 tee. That's all.
I cannot confirm nor deny whether she had that in the bag, but she definitely wears it. So I've seen her like wear it to work out before. So if that thing has made it out into the public, I mean, I'm not the only one representing from my household.
We appreciate you representing us, and honestly, in all honesty, no smoke. We appreciate the job that you do, and you, like Kevin Warren, have been an upgrade to, in my opinion, because I know it'll ruffle feathers, in the coverage of the Chicago Bears. The questions, the caring aspect of it, the caring. I feel like it's like nails on a chalkboard when I hear these beat reporters like complain that they got to go cover the goddamn Bears playing whatever game. You know what? It's like, that's your job. And there's so many people that love this 3-win team. Like, don't ever complain. I've never heard you once complain. I think you keep it 100. I think you do it in a professional way. And you always ask the tough question. There's never been a moment where Shane's texting me like, did you hear Courtney's question? Like, because he would break my
the bar so high. Hopefully I don't fuck it up this year. Like, wait until I ask some like jabroni question to steal a word from Travis Kelce. Shane's texting me. Did you hear what she said?
We will text you personally. I'll text you, Courtney.
We just don't want any question like Pat Finley asking Justin how the oversized jacket helped him when it was 7 degrees out and it was windy.
Yeah.
I said to Phil, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How does a jacket help you, Justin, when it's super cold out? I'm like, that really just happen?
Those capes, I don't think they're very warm. I mean, they have a fleece lining on the inside, but it's not like that thing is keeping you warm. Those heated benches, though, I hear that's where it's at. I'm talking with Velus Jones about that. I'm like, what is it, like sitting in like a car seat warmer? He's like, no, like it's completely warm. And they have the sideline, those propane things.
Blowing hot. Yes. Have you ever been at a restaurant with the standing one?
Yes,
it's above you.
It's just like that.
50 times
as cold as it is on the sidelines, like if you're up towards the actual sideline, it is much warmer when you are like actually back on the bench and all that. So I can confirm that's my reporting on that element.
So
I don't think
ESPN
Courtney would waste a question on Justin, how was the jacket?
ESPN 1000, you guys are the new home, right? Of the
Yeah,
Chicago Bears?
March 1st is, I believe, the date that we're going to be starting.
Wow.
All of the officially turning over, because I know we haven't been able to publicly talk about it during the season and all of that, but it's exciting. 20 something years that the station has not had the Bear, that they've been the home of WBBM. It's been
right
for 20 plus years, and now it's us. So I'm really excited to see what that happens.
So one of the questions we need you to ask, just from a fan's perspective for us. Phil's in Connecticut, I'm in New York, and this is one thing that we're asked about from Bears fans that are in over in Europe, everywhere.
Scotland, Ireland.
Bears training camp. Why can it not be streamed for the fans, even if it was a pay service? I know Minnesota had did it at one point. New England does it.
New England still does it.
Philly has done it.
I don't know the answer to it, other than how paranoid teams are.
Oh yeah, that's what
they're so paranoid about any sort of video coverage, because when you get to see the whole practice, you're seeing things that they think that one play that they run, or they're using somebody as the a third down, a pass rusher on third down in this package, that might give away the secret and the team won't win a Super Bowl because of that's how teams work.
Even Family Fest and stuff. How is that stuff not
stream this?
Me, if I ran the operation, I would not be opposed to that, because football people tend to carry more paranoia than the average human. But that's league wide. It's not just the Bears.
Who wouldn't want to steal content from a 3-win Chicago Bears football team? I mean, hold on.
That's your rational brain talking, though.
Yeah.
Not how. And when I think about kind of bringing it back full circle to Kevin Warren, I think they're just knowing the change, how he made the fan experience a priority in Minnesota. I think that there will be certain things, maybe even with training camp, that stuff will change, and it'll be an even better experience for people who come out there. But also, maybe there will be things for people who are not there, and I can't guarantee that they would automatically start streaming practices, but I don't know. I feel like there's some of that stuff has grown tired with this franchise, just in terms of the way the standard operating procedure, that a shakeup just in terms of how the fans get to experience being at Hallis Hall, being, at Family Fest, the one day they do it at Soldier Field, and gearing up towards getting a new stadium. It's all going to change, and it changed for the better.
It's a lot of change in the air, and I was so excited to have the opportunity to meet and talk with you in person, and you came out and joined us out there and at Jim Larison's house. You came out.
Lovely home, lovely hospitality too. My goodness, that was such a fun night. Can we do that again?
We are doing it again. This is where I'm going with this, but it's not going to be at Jim finally. Yeah. Shane has missed every year. Now this year, no matter what,
family.
But we're going to be downtown.
Okay.
At a place, so it's going to be convenient. And the TTNL party, Cherie and my wife Steph backed it up with Jim, and we picked out the spot. She's a big fan of yours, Cherie, right there. See?
Hi. I was expecting to see her pre-show, behind the scenes. I was like, "Where is
she?" Came in late.
We're working on it. Cherie had some laptop issues.
Yeah, I was told to Shane.
Windows 95 needs to
update. She's got to stay off those. Got to stay off those shady sites as a single lady. That's why I keep on telling her. Courtney,
oh, Jesus. Did you want to say hi real quick? There you go.
How are you? Wait, so where is this place? Where's the party?
Oh, we can't give it out. I'll tell you privately, but it is going to be dope.
It's downtown though. It's really nice.
I'm excited.
So yeah, we're gonna be out there. Jim said it. His wife did an amazing job, but you and Dion and Herb and Alex Shapiro, everybody was there on opposite ends, and we had a lot of fun there talking about the Bears. But you're just a great person, and I'm so glad you're covering the team, and I appreciate the friendship most. That you're a real person, and you know, we've been lucky. Shane, not so much because he's missed every year, but we've been lucky to make some great friends that are covering this team that aren't uppity, two-faced, and like that. So you are, I know Charisse more excited than I am for next year's party because of you. She's like your number one
Sheree
fan.
knows I'm coming. That's why she's so
If I have
excited.
to go drag Shane is coming.
I told my family. I've had so many medical dramas with my family. I'm like, if something bad happens, I'll be in Chicago.
He's leaving his family no matter what.
Taking
Bring him
a few
with.
days off.
Bring the baby with. I know that might be a little difficult traveling with.
Oh my God. I don't know if you want to bring that baby.
My daughter is
Y'all not gonna disrespect Emmy like that.
Evil.
My daughter will be 2 in June, and she is I love her, but boy is she a handful. She is she's a handful.
That's putting it like every time I talk to him with the baby, she's crying.
Oh man, yeah.
I just want the good videos. I get her laughing and smiling. I don't get the.
That's what
we don't record. We don't record when she's dropping napalm, Sheree. We don't have the phones. But my son is 11 and he's reserved and quiet and content, and my daughter is. I tell everybody she's like an edible. There's no off switch. It's she's on all the time.
She's an edible. I don't want to take up more of your time. You're always gracious with it, and I definitely think we got to have you back closer to the draft.
Sure.
Well, about that real quick before we let you go, is there any special stuff that you guys are going to be doing different as the home of the Bears for the draft?
I don't know yet, but hopefully I haven't been let in on the secrets yet. Like exactly. I'm low man on the totem pole. I'm filling in though the week after the Super Bowl. Me and Hoodie are filling in. I'm filling in with him for Caps going somewhere. So I've got like Monday through Wednesday. So
nice.
I'm sure we'll be pretty football heavy there. As far as draft stuff, I don't know yet, but I imagine we're going to probably be doing a ton because I mean this is a golden opportunity when you have not only the number 1 draft pick, but this is the team is now we're the radio home for the Chicago Bears. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a really cool opportunity. But yeah, I'd love to come on. I mean, we can rap about free agency, the draft, all of that. This is the quiet part of the off season right now. Quiet. Like this is Senior Bowl week, and this is my first year not going for a couple of years, but the combine, the owners meetings, like there's just so much going on that you kind of got to push back and like take a beat when you can. And my taking a beat is I've got Around the Horn tomorrow on air on Friday. Like it never ends, but it's a good grind because you got to enjoy it. You got to find perspective in all of it. And I've been watching Power. So
really?
I hear Tommy Egan's voice and I'm like, is that Phil? Like I just keep hearing it. Like, who is that? Because it sounded so familiar. And then I'm like, wait a second. I know somebody who sounds just like him. And
who's this?
Now that you say that, yeah, he does sound like Tommy.
Right?
Really?
You're not going to be able to unhear it. So I started it back a couple weeks ago. And now it's part of my, like, when I'm not, doing other stuff for ESPN, like that's part of my off-season routine, trying to balance. Because I know that once free agency hits, it's full steam ahead for the next like 6 weeks after that going into the draft. And it's going to be great.
Well, I'm going to have to listen to this voice now.
You've never seen Power?
I've seen Power. I just never
Tommy.
Listen. I know Tommy. The white dude.
Don't make his head bigger. This guy over here.
Tommy's going to make my head bigger. Have you seen Power, Shane? Have you ever watched?
No, I have not.
It's really, I started it a few weeks ago and I'm on season 3. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Really
I'm
Elon
on
and I just
season
caught
3.
up
I got to finish it.
We did the Sex Lives of College Girls.
Great show.
Oh,
really
it's hilarious.
I have not seen that shit yet.
Where is the second season out yet?
The second season is out. Yeah, the third one comes back. Yeah, third one comes out in November.
I'll have to check it out. I watched the first season a year ago, so it was good. It was really good.
You know what I saw, and that's one of the questions that we.
That's what you'll be dealing with, Courtney, right there. Do you think you really want to deal with that?
She doesn't look like hell on wheels there. She looks awesome.
See, that's
Here's
what
the- how are you with like overdubbed shows, like foreign show? Are you cool with that? Can you handle
Yeah.
that?
Got any suggestions?
Yes, there's this show. Like I was just blown away by this show. I don't even know the title. The Attorney Woo. I'm sorry, Jackal. You know you're a fucking prick. He wants the exact. I can't. The Attorney Woo. She's autistic,
Okay.
and it's like a Korean show, and it kept coming up in your suggestions on Netflix, and it was one of those nights where I'm like, all right, let me just check this out. I got so caught up in this. It's like 16 episodes. So well done. The Extraordinary Attorney Woo.
Okay.
There you go. I'm telling you, thank you.
I'll add it to
Critical
my
Thinker.
queue.
It is. I teared up like at least 12 episodes. It's so well written. If you know anybody that's autistic or has any autistic kids, it's really good at giving a human quality in a time where there's so many assholes in this world, right? This needs to be watched by a lot of people. Really well done, and the actress is just outstanding. So that's why I asked. Check that out, and thank you. I'm sorry, Jackal, I yelled at you, but Extraordinary Attorney Woo. I'm taking second season's coming in 2000, so it'll be perfect. You could check it out now. So is there any other show other than Power that you would suggest people and us to
I watched the Madoff documentary last
Oh,
week.
really?
It's 4 parts. It's harrowing. I mean, just seeing how
oh my
God. It wasn't just billionaires losing their money. It was normal people like us. And that was really, really well done because that happened. That coincided when the market crashed in 2008. And I was in college then. So I feel like I wasn't really paying as much attention in real time. And now it's like, holy shit. This guy was, feel like Wall Street let him get away with that. That was kind of my biggest takeaway, considering how many people did not go to jail after that, except for him and a few others. But no, I watched that. I'm really not a big, I don't get into TV shows until the off season. So if you have any suggestions, just hit me up on Twitter with them because I'm always interested in just stuff I can fill my brain with. That's not, watching February 1st NBA action. What's the score of this game? All right, no, it's I'm assuming that the Nets probably didn't play anybody tonight because they're getting their ass kicked earlier.
Celtics.
Yeah, Celtics won. Atlanta's up 16-8 on Phoenix right now. Hopefully I'm not copyright.
Celtics and Brooklyn played.
No, you're
Celtics
good now.
boat raced them. Yeah.
You never know. There's stories with people that are watching a game behind them and their show gets shut down. And they're like, what?
Or you lose your Facebook.
Shane lost his Facebook, Courtney.
Had it since
They just
2009.
took it away from him.
Just
that's
out of nowhere. No warning, no nothing. All my kids' pictures, all that stuff gone.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I blame Phil, but that's another show.
Well, now we'll let you go, but thank you so much
Yeah,
for
of course.
jumping on. We'll block out a time closer to the draft with you, and we missed Christmas with Courtney. We got to do that next year. I had a couple pretend Christmas songs with you in it, so we'll have to bring that back. I won't blow those creative parody songs just to embarrass you. That's what we were it was going to be fun, but
excellent.
Next year we'll do the Christmas with Courtney. Hopefully the Bears will be in the playoff hunt, and really great stuff. If you're just tuning in, go to the top, hit it from the beginning. Courtney Cronin talking about the Bears' new president, the whole cultural change with the Chicago Bears from mom and pop to top to bottom. Now the Chicago Bears have done a 180, in my opinion, but no one has spoken it better than Courtney, really, tonight. You're like an encyclopedia. You were pulling out some names tonight. You knew the whole freaking Carolina Panther roster.
That's all the around the horn stuff. You got to know more than just
Gotta know your stuff.
So, yeah, that's That's where that all comes from. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
So after the Super Bowl, you'll be live doing the morning show on ESPN 1000.
Yeah, so we're doing it. I'm doing it 7 to 10 Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week after the Super Bowl. So
Perfect.
You got a Super Bowl?
I'm doing network.
You got a prediction?
Super Bowl pick? Just don't say Philly.
I don't have a score prediction yet, but I am gonna probably pick Philadelphia.
My family's all Eagles fans, and they
I'm sure
they
they're
fit
gonna
the
be
exact description of every asshole Philadelphia Eagle fan that you see at a game. So yeah, my life.
Hands at people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my mother included. Sadly,
His
but
brother-in-law
yeah,
is probably in the chat right now. Pissed.
oh yeah. So the double doink was a real great time for me, Courtney.
Oh,
but yeah, we don't need to. We don't need to rehash that.
She's the great Courtney Cronin. Follow her on Instagram. Don't ever follow the underscore at the end.
Yeah,
Just
don't do that one.
follow the real one. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you jumping on tonight. You're outstanding. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right.
See ya.
Courtney Cronin. What an interview.
Yeah, good
what
stuff.
A job. What a great.
Yeah, and she's like you said, she can go head to head with you about any team and everything, and that's what we love here. And I was gonna suggest we gotta maybe talk to her about doing a draft, maybe a patron show with her where we get the Courtney Cronin live mock draft simulator, where the Courtney Cronin, the GM, where she runs it.
Cronin?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't blow smoke. I gotta be honest.
Her and Cherie can run the simulator. Cherie can be like, I don't know who the fuck any of these guys are, Courtney. Who are you
Blake
taking?
Bortles.
Trade it all for Bortles.
Do it now.
Courtney is
I love all.
So impressive with her understanding of the whole thing and her ability to incorporate I really hope Cool Kennedy and Caden capture her talking about the bureaucracy and the systematic flow of what the Bears were. I think it was like listening to a great writer putting to words what it is that you've lived. You lived. When you read a book and you kind of resonate with it, that's what Courtney does for me, because she puts it into such eloquent words and picturesque as I see it. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. The bureaucracy and the bullshit is going to be gone. And every Bear should be celebrating that. And she also kept it 100 too, talking about you got to do your due diligence, all the things we've been talking about here. I'm right. Like, she's on the same page. That's why.
I mean, I'm a Justin Fields believer, but if Ryan Poles isn't doing his due diligence on every quarterback that's available, then I have a big problem with it. Yeah. You have to. You're probably not going to be drafting number 1 again next year. Probably not for a long time. They've 1947 to 2023. So you have to do that work while you're up top, and hopefully they are. And I'd never thought that it was going to come into play that they were going to move off Justin. I didn't even think about it, the way that Courtney talked about it when you're trading leaders within your locker room. And to me, that would be a nuke going off in the locker room. I mean, you hear players within the roster praising this kid, Darrington Evans, calling him an alpha. You hear other NFL players from other teams, Darius Slay, Von Miller, talking about this kid that we've never heard, as a Chicago Bears fan, an analyst. When's the last time that they went out of their way to say positive things about a Chicago Bears quarterback? And I think
they spent a lot of time giggling about the Chicago Bears quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, you're right.
To be perfectly honest, they would laugh at Cade McNown and Claudio's boy Rex Grossman.
And you watch the NFC Championship game, they're like, when is the last
guy with the last name Gross, man?
You watch the NFC Championship game, I had to laugh. People are like, when was the last time this? I'm like, Dude, we had Todd Collins and Caleb Haney in the NFC title game. What the fuck are you talking about? That really
Collins.
And we lost by 7.
That's the thing.
Haney threw a pick 6 to who was the fucking
Fat Albert?
BJ Raji.
BJ Raji, yeah.
Raji. Hey.
Quinn was
Caleb Haney.
Oh,
Haney's happy. I'm happy.
Haney's
Bratcher dated BJ Raji's sister back in like 2004.
What's this white line Ivan's got under his?
Oh, it's my computer.
How? How does that even happen?
If I go
something
any higher,
away, the back of it.
yeah. If I pull the camera down any higher.
Oh, okay. It's like I thought it was like a graphic on your screen, like a lower third.
Looks neat.
It's different. I don't know if I like it yet.
Should write something on the back.
Yeah. Wait, so put your finger there. It's right. That's the back of the computer. Oh, okay.
Put your finger there. Fucking a guy when I was like.
He knows I'm coming. That's why. Ivan knows.
Man, that was quick.
We already got the best drop from Phil. He doesn't even realize what he said.
Oh, no.
Start off.
I'm too easy. I just say whatever. So I don't.
Guilty.
What do you guys talk about? What is
phrasing? You had a
phrasing.
doozy of a drop. I instantly texted Farkas. I'm like, you got to clip that. We're not going to play it because it's way the fuck out of bounds. But yeah, we'll just send it to you privately, and you'll be like, "What the fuck?"
There you go. Yep, I like it.
You said it, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Oh no!
He knows I'm coming. That's why. Yeah,
dude, that's horrible. That is horrible.
Oh,
I got it up.
I don't think we ever got Shane saying anything. Shane very rarely gets called.
No, I had a couple doozies from
Shane
the
speaks in its tone, so he doesn't like. He just, if you listen, which I try to do. Well, you got to know that Shane has that kind of rhythm pattern, so it's not isolated where Jackal, myself, kind of pause in these things. Claudio does it.
Yep.
Ivan does it kind of, but Ivan has more of a flow.
Do I sound like what was it? What was the exact quote? Give me a guard or give me death.
It's like Mickey Mouse.
That was so funny though. It was hilarious.
The fact that he was telling you that you got to trust him, it's funny. It's that's what made it
so
funny. Because it wasn't funny, but then it became funny because of the
Well,
story
then he was
behind
doubling down on it. He's like, I watch this shit and I die laughing every time. I'm like, you didn't do what I asked you. He's like, this is better. I'm like, no, I'm laughing because it's so fucking bad. That's
Then let me do what I hired to do.
Exactly.
I gotta look back. I must have that clip someplace.
Oh my god, how is he?
Good, I
People
think.
have been
I
asking.
talked to him. Yeah, I had him. Well, if you're not a patron, you don't know, but
In India, right?
Phil and myself opened Draft Mob as a surprise on Monday night. So I had talked to Alan, I believe, on Tuesday, and he was supposed to be loading up some beats for us in there so we could have it to play over top of the tape, get rid of some of the, Cherie's feeding the ducks beat and put in some of the dope Cool Kennedy ones.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Good. I'm looking forward to seeing Bratcher back.
Yeah, we'll see when it happens. We we still got the ankle bracelet and we'll see what happens.
Claudio's back.
Whenever he's
Jackal's
ready.
back.
Yeah.
We had Caden Whitlow.
I saw Caden back there.
Yes. Yeah, he had to bounce. He had a lineup. He had a lineup.
Kids killing it in college.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It's maturing right in front of our eyes, guys.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. I wanted to play this. This is Luke Getzey at the Senior Bowl. He's the head coach, I believe. Is that what his title's carrying there, Shane?
Yeah, he's the head coach.
Because it was kind of weird how he was talking in that interview. Like, Anyway, let's listen to. I think this is a huge minute of information that backs up what Shane and I, if you are a patron, and we also said it on Keepin It 100 a couple weeks ago.
Well, do you think, your experience will be for Ryan and his staff when it comes time to, like, yeah, hey, this kid was sharp in the meeting room, this kid didn't. Yeah, that's the most important reason why I'm here. I keep the main goal, the main thing, right? And that's the final way to get our team to be a better football team. And this gives you a great opportunity to dive into the type of men they are, right? We're trying to build this organization with guys who love football, right? And so we get to find that out when you get to be so hands-on, for sure.
How much do you think you find out?
That's the first ding. If you listen, well, 2 dings in there.
Did you see his shirt?
That's what I was trying to read.
Veets. That's the big
That's
hangout.
that place where John Fox frequents.
Brad Biggs was smoking the stogie out front, and he's like, "You draft Dr. Phil?" And he's like, "Nope, I'm Lauren Cox." Remember?
Yeah, it wasn't Lauren. It was Lauren's friend that supposedly looked like me, right? And yeah, I gotta tell.
Lauren is down there too, but yeah, that's from Veets. Is the place down there. So
but he's telling you in this clip that Getsy is there to help Ryan Pohl. I'm getting behind the scenes information here. And then 2,
number one, he's down there for himself. Yeah, he's down there for himself, number one, to showcase as a head coach.
Absolutely. But number 1A, sorry, Cars, is that we're getting a fucking understanding of who these guys are, talent-wise, but also the most important, I'll back it up a little bit for you nerds.
How much do you think you find out just from how week practices? How much can you observe about how serious a guy is?
Oh yeah, I mean, so like what I'm doing, what I've taken this week to do is like I'm in every meeting room, so I'm going to every position, so I'm getting to see how the guys interact, see how they learn. Then I get to come out here and I get to observe every position too. So trying to take advantage of that, not just keeping it in one area, trying to get as much information on as many of these guys as possible.
Are you able to learn stuff from them on the grass too? I know nothing beats their college tape, but what can you learn just watching them?
Yeah, just again, that's like the natural. Is this guy just a baller or not? You know, you get to see the subtle movements. You get to see how they handle change. How fast they can learn something and then go out and perform it that quickly, because that's the world we live in, right? We can't do the same thing every week, so you got to be able to adapt, and so this is a really good opportunity to get.
Here goes Larry's question. When you're out here,
Luke, do you want to be a head coach? Is that what your goal is?
But he's really trying to. He's definitely this was huge for Shane and me, because I feel like the last time the Bears with John Fox, I believe, he can't handle it, right? They didn't do a good enough job. Didn't do their due diligence. Didn't want to do it. Passed it up. Like, you got to take those opportunities to get to know the person on the inside. How they are at practice. To get that opportunity, it just gives you a leg up, especially later in the draft. When you get, look at Hunter Renfrow, a guy like that. A lot of people, can he play in the NFL? Look what he's been able to do. You find the kind of work ethic and the tenacity and the understanding of how much they love the game of football. And I think that's the most important thing. I mean, it's the biggest knock on Jalen Carter. Does he love football? You get an opportunity to work with Jalen Carter. There it is. And yes, like for me, it was very easy to recognize that Hufanga loved the game of football on tape.
Well, that's the thing, and this is where you run into problems when guys don't have every God-given ability on an elite level. When they have to fight for a lot more, those are the guys that it comes across on tape very easily that they love it. But when you're born with with size, with strength in everything, every God-given ability like Jalen Carter, when everything comes easy for you, through, little league and high school, and then you're going to Georgia. Everything comes easy for you. That's the number one thing, man, because like I said, you cannot, if you're drafting, let's just say there's no trade down, you're at number one and you draft a Jalen Carter, they can't be okay players.
Exactly.
It's got to be transcendent Hall of Fame level play from the guy.
I believe Will Anderson is a generational talent. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't put. I mean, I love both players. I'm not ready to put them there. I just think
I'm putting him there.
Yeah, no, and I respect.
Say you stay there.
Yep.
I don't want to ruin our next show, but I'm a big believer in Will Anderson.
So today,
if
I'm drafting at number one and I'm making the pick right now, I'm taking Will Anderson because there's less red flag questions with love of the game, on and off switch. That's the thing. But that's, like I said, that's where it's critical. That's where, we say the tape never lies. Sometimes it can be the biggest hindrance because a guy can go out there and dominate and they don't give a shit with anything away from that we don't have access to.
Eddie Goldman, perfect example.
Yeah. Eddie Goldman was the
fucking
biggest
talent.
motherfucker in seventh grade. They're like, motherfucker, you should play football. He's like, okay. And so he did, and he went out there and he played great. He just never loved it, and that's a testament to how gifted he was. It got him to be a second-round draft pick, in the NFL. He just never loved it. Never. I mean, Eddie, is he? I don't even think so. He was drafted 2015. So that's 8 years. He was 20 years old when the Bears drafted him. So he's like 28 years old right now, and he's retired. Crazy. All the talent in the world.
I don't know what Midway Monster's asking. How much of that is just BS, though? Apparently, Fields was the last in first
But
out
that,
type of.
that,
What is that?
that was a Dan Orlovsky bullshit comment about Fields last year. So that's not based off that. What is it based off with Jalen Carter? Watch tape and you'll see it. Where if you're a TTNL patron, we showed you. Yeah.
If you're a patron, we broke down the good, the bad, the ugly. Ivan cut up the tape for us.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my boy Chris Harold and Ivan Vargas. There's 7 different opponents that you're looking at game tape, and we're showing you the all 22 and the coach's angle on a 3-tech who also played 5. There's so much to like about Jalen Carter. That's how I led the show off. Like, if you're putting him out of the top 10, then you're just a fool.
I don't ever remember Aaron Donald's heart being questioned. Aaron Donald's issue was people were concerned about his size. I mean, at one point,
with knives and shit.
I don't remember his heart being questioned either.
I don't either. But Jalen Carter,
Rocky Balboa's heart.
We can show you that you're like, God damn, dude. One play you're out there mollywopping people up and down the line, then the next down you're just standing there giving a 35% effort. That shit can't go on.
He was doing that in the championship game too, right?
And that's the thing. You have to see. Listen, when you're at Georgia, more times than not, you're up 20 plus all the time. Are you going to give complete effort when listen?
If you're out there, you should be giving complete effort.
Oh no, I get it, but Claude, my point is, if you're out there, if you're in his spot and you're up 20, and you're like, am I going to go out there and give 110% effort when I have generational money 2 months away? Or a dude, you know what I mean? But then you can say you get hurt when you're not going 100%. Though that's why these interviews, like Eberflus, Phil, we broke this down, and I'm not going to get into it too much because we want to keep this with the patrons. But you have to
write a story about it.
You have to essentially be a lawyer and you have to put Jalen Carter on the stand, and you have to show him this is a play of you dominating, and now I'm going to show you 5 plays of you being a lazy slug. Tell me why that is, Jalen. You have more talent than anybody else on that field, and I want to hear him tell me why. I want to hear his excuses, because there's a certain way that he can answer those questions that will instantly tell me if things matter to him. If it's a bunch of excuses and he's blaming everybody else and well, this and this and this, then I got a big fucking problem with it. I would rather him come out and say, you know what? We're up 30. I have a really bright future. This is the NFL would rather you come out and be completely fucking honest that way, because they're going to find out anyway.
You have to be vulnerable. When we talked about Nagy with David Montgomery and Ryan Nall, and they were breaking news that there was no team-oriented tape breakdown, meaning breaking down the tape in front of your peers. That's the best way to hold players accountable, and the loafs and hits philosophy. Darrington Evans laughed about that last week. Like, oh yeah, we do that. That's really got to be an understanding when you get to the next level. We saw it with Michael Haynes. You've seen it. I can go down a list of guys. They're drafted really high. We call them big for nothings. Once you get that money in your pocket, once you get to a certain place, do you give it all on Sundays? Do you love the game? You didn't have to question Reggie White. Like, no matter what he fucking got paid, he was going to go out there and fucking destroy game plans. Khalil Mack was the same way for me. A lot of fans were just looking at sacks, but they didn't see effort in triple teams and getting chop blocked and held every down. Those things matter. Oh, there's a reason why you fucking are a parky kick away from possibly going to the Super Bowl. Khalil Mack was a part of that reason. These things are so important to the tape when you look at these guys. Yeah, Richard Dent, Bruce Smith. You can go down the list of the guys that you know are going to go on. Chris Jones. Again,
Well,
with the
and if you go back to their college tape, I mean, are they giving half-ass efforts?
No.
100? No, exactly. So
exactly.
I agree with somebody in the chat was like, if you're going to have to ask that question, you move on. You don't pick.
Well, you have to be able to.
Well, there are plays, to Shane's point. I think it's very important. Georgia up by 40, and he's out there, and he might take a play.
He's been nicked up. He had an ankle injury. He had a pulled groin. And I mean, when you're a pulled groin for Jackal isn't as big of a deal as it is for a dude that's 6'4", 315 out there with, guys that are 350 across from him. It's just, so all of that plays in, but they're going to have his medicals, I mean, Flus and Poles, they're going to have his medicals. They're going to know everything about it. That's where it's critical. Like somebody in the chat said that he's not worth a top 5 pick. Based on talent, he's worth the top overall pick based on talent. But what this is going to separate him is what you find out from him off the field. And listen, there's going to be coaches that will lie, and there's also coaches that are going to be brutally honest about Jalen Carter. Kid's got all the talent in the world, doesn't want it. There's going to be guys out there that say that if it's the truth. It just is what it is. And that's when I say that Ryan Poles needs to be an absolute fucking dog, he's got to be.
He's got it. You got all the
100%.
Ammunition. Yeah. This is the greatest offseason.
Swinging the biggest stick, yeah.
Because you got to listen, it starts at the fucking top. Kevin Warren coming in here with a goddamn turnover every pebble. Every goddamn pebble. We're going to find answers. We're going to find fixes. We're not going to fucking put duct tape on a fucking leak. We're going to replace the pipe. Jackal's coming over with the shark teeth and replacing the pipe. You got to fucking fix this shit.
You're close. Shark bite. I like it.
You gotta look at The first pick, $93 million in cap space, which is, let's just be honest, it's $300 million again. You could spend whatever you want to get to this level, and you gotta win. You gotta win. You can't fucking lose. If Payne is out there and that's who you want, you gotta get that guy in and done. Next, get Tremaine Edwards. Get his ass in here. Edmonds.
Yep.
Tremaine Edmonds. Get his ass in here. He's your Mike Backer. You're 6'5". You're gonna carry those tight ends down the seam just like Brian Urlacher did. That's what we want you to do, and play the game like you do. Now, everything else is gravy here. You got your 3-tech. You got to get a 3-tech. Is it the draft? Fucking get 3 guys. Get a guy in free agency. Draft 2.
Oh yeah, no. Let's just say you go out on day 1 and you sign Deron Payne right out the gate.
Yeah.
And then you go down to number 4 in the draft with Indy, and Anderson goes to Arizona at number 3. There's no more, discussions for you to go down, and you're sold on Carter with the red flags that we've talked about. You're sold on him. Deron Payne does not prevent you from still taking him. You still take him, and then you're set, because he's going to provide you with some versatility that you saw right in the AFC title game. Phil and I were talking about Chris Jones. That is what you want. You want a guy that you can move and put in different positions, and then you still have Deron Payne on the inside there. And if you come out of free agency and your first pick in the draft, and the interior of your defensive line is Deron Payne and Jalen Carter.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would love that. I also would love the reality of getting another tight end in here. I don't think you could just sit here. We got Cole Kmet. Got to get another one.
Yeah, you go. And to me, and I understand there's tight ends that I love in the draft. I am going the veteran route and paying a guy because I want instant impact. And if you look throughout history, it's pretty rare for a tight end.
Free agent tight ends.
Waller,
we're doing
free agent? No.
Because I know.
No. Well, Dalton Schultz is out there. Gesicki is out there. Evan Ingram from Jacksonville. Those are going to be your 3 top guys.
Austin Hooper, Robert Tonyan, Hayden Hurst, Jeff Swam. That's about it.
But I'm going the veteran route there because listen, you have money that you need some veterans and none of those guys are.
I'm a big fan of Kincaid in the draft too.
Oh no!
And the kid from Notre Dame is a baller too. But I'm with you though. I think you got it. You gotta get the.
I'm pretty sure over the past 60 days, Benjamin Ricketts has put in the comment section 7,000 times that he wants Kincaid. I get it. Fabulous talent, but I'm going the veteran route because
I would go Ingram and
Schultz.
If you would get 2, I can get 2.
Oh no! I thought you were ranking them.
No, yeah, I like Schultz. I like Gesicki too because Gesicki's going to give you the size and that athleticism. So a guy that
I was surprised that Evan Ingram was older than both of them.
I know.
I was actually pretty shocked by that. But no, I want the veteran there to pair with Cole Kmet, and I think it's going to be better for Justin Fields. I get the upside with a guy like Kincaid, but more times than not, it's at a minimum year 2 or year 3 before they start to make a legitimate impact from tight end. And I know everybody's going to throw out these outliers. I'm just saying it's rare for a tight end to come in and make a massive impact in year 1 or year 2.
Listen,
and I think it makes extension out of the way for Cole this offseason.
I think he's 100% getting an extension. Yes.
I cringe at him getting. I want to see him play, but I get it. Because with Shane, you got the money now, so you want to.
23 years old, and he's improved every year. I don't think he's done improving.
He's one guy, for the record. I'll speak to Cole himself. You're so up and down with ball in hand effort. You're 6'6". You should be a destroyer. When I watch Kelsey, I watch Kittle. These guys run with an abandon that I'm going to fuck you up before you fuck me up. I don't like waiting.
But he's not either of those guys. He's not.
But he can be. Like,
no, but I'm saying you make him a better
jumps
tight end
every time. It drives me insane.
You pair him with one of these guys that we're talking about, one of these vets. It makes Cole Kmet a much better player. It makes it makes Justin Fields a better quarterback. Yeah, I think it puts him more in a role of where he can be much more.
I would much rather pay David Montgomery than Cole Kmet. That's my truth. If I'm the coach,
but it comes down to what you would pay him.
Right. What are you going to pay Cole Kmet? What is his contract going to look like? Just guess. I just want to see where it's at with.
I'm looking up tight end contracts.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think he would pull?
All right. Wow, Jesus Christ.
Because he's
there's some expensive tight ends in the NFL. Holy shit.
We got to think of what.
That'd be a drop off after about 5, the top 5, right?
I don't even know where you would rank Cole Kmet in the tight ends. Jackal's got some. I can't even read.
I'm gonna try to. If you can't, I'm gonna try to zoom in.
Yeah, but I'm so.
Oh, there we go. 51 million for Waller.
Wow, yeah.
Kittle. Yeah. 75.
You comfortable paying him 12, 14 million?
Well, that's where he's gonna.
Yep.
Where are you putting him here?
So look what Gesicki's coming off of, just under 11 million.
So
I'm curious to
Gesicki's going to
see.
look for money like over 57. He's looking over 50. Is he going to try to reach for Kittle money? 75 mil?
I mean, he's coming off a down year, though. He didn't.
Kmet, you talking about?
No,
Gesicki. I think he's not going to cost as much as some of the other
He's
guys.
at 10.
Because
He's
he was a
Yeah,
little
I mean, what
inconsistent
about
this
Pitts?
year.
Pitts is young and he's fucking. He's talented.
Pitts?
Yeah, pick him up. We can get him cheap.
He's in 2025, Claudio.
Like,
We got a long wait there.
Yeah.
You can trade for him, no?
Oh my God! I would trade for him tomorrow.
If you're trading down to number 8, then that would be a guy
That's what I'm
that
saying.
I don't think they would ever do it because
I
they're
see what
coming
you're
up for a
saying,
quarterback. But yeah,
Dude, if Atlanta called me and offered Pitts, I'm fucking listening big time, and I'm trying to do what you said. Pitts is a generational talent, man. He's
He was
getting
disappointing
better.
over there this year, so they might,
Well, they had you and I throwing the ball, Claudio. I mean, it was fucking horrible.
No, Kyle Pitts. Whew. That kid was the closest thing for me at his position to like a Randy Moss at receiver for me.
Yeah.
That's how freakish he is. But
I mean, Jerome, as Phil would say, they're not paying Kmet and paying a free agent. I mean, he put the exclamation point in there, so I guess it's a moot point.
Jerome, my homie, it's full of baloney right there.
You got to pay somebody.
My
You
homie,
have to spend money.
They're
You
gonna
want to
pay
bring in
2
weapons,
tight ends, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
Why would you not? Why would you not? I mean, it's
if you listen to
Phil's
polls.
glasses.
I have to put the glasses
No,
on.
but they were kind of like,
I got my
it's got me
headset.
all messed
so it's
up.
all
I didn't know if it was the
crooked.
edibles or
It's
whatever.
all
but
crooked.
it's. But
I get
listen,
my nerd glasses.
Yeah, you're not bringing Kyle Pitts.
No,
you're not bringing Kyle Pitts here to block.
Kyle Pitts is what Shane is saying. That X factor that can play receiver. He can go outside, and he could dominate versus linebackers or safeties. Unbelievable talent in Kyle Pitts. If they were offering that, say they love Bryce Young, and they're offering you their first, Kyle Pitts.
And were they drafted?
9th.
8 or 9?
8.
Is it 8?
8. Carolina's
8.
at 9.
You're right.
Thank you. They're giving you 8. I'm totally listening to that conversation just for Kyle and the 8th pick. That's just tight end is going to be an interesting thing. My point was, if you listen to polls and they were asking him about the free agent class of wide receivers not being what it is, you hear polls say, and he alludes to his credit that, listen, tight end is going to play an important part of this too, he says. It's not all about the receiver. That's an important thing. And you saw the growth of the God, I just totally fucking forgot his name. The Jags quarterback in my head.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. It just went away. I'm getting old.
It's happening,
Getting
bro.
old. Trevor Lawrence.
I'm
You
in
saw the
space.
growth in him because of his tight ends.
Yeah.
How much
And
they
Kirk.
help him down the football
Ingram.
field.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like
got
Jerome seems pretty stuck on 11 for Komet and then 12 for free.
17 for a free agent.
Well, but that's the-
26. I don't give a
What did New England do 2 years ago?
Hunter Henry,
Hunter
Johnny
Henry
Smith.
and
Yeah,
Johnny.
they went out and paid
50
2
million
tight
on
ends.
2 guys.
It's the best thing. It's the best thing in the world for a. Take the money off the table.
It's not your money.
It's not your money, but they have to
Exactly.
spend. They have to bring in weapons. They have to. It's
unbelievable.
I mean, I get it's
tight end
just
is
so
gonna
out
be-
of the ordinary for Bears fans, honestly, to think
It
about
is. I don't
it that
think
way.
people can
And I think
grasp
it's hard
that-
to understand the concept.
Listen, the way that the Bears have they can essentially go out and sign the top 3 free agents available in the NFL and still have the most cap room.
Exactly.
Available.
I don't think people understand.
And they have to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have an aggressive president and CEO. And
Yeah.
oh, by the way, they know they got Justin Fields here. It's hard to analyze who Fields is. You heard Courtney talk about it, and you heard us break this shit down all season. This is a hard analysis. Is it Justin's fault? Is it the offensive line? Is it all coordinator? It's all of it. So you got to do something. You have to better the talent around the quarterback. Then you get your answer.
Yeah.
So you ain't gonna sit there, Jerome. Let's fucking tiddlywink over 1 million here. It's 11, or we're gonna give you 12. No, here's 17 million. Let's get you in the building. I need talent for my quarterback, especially with the free agent market at receiver.
Well, look at the teams that were the last 4 teams. You got Niners got Kittle, Chiefs got Kelsey, right? On that list, Goddard was top 5 pick.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Bengals
obviously
had
there's a
Philadelphia
there's a
has
trend. There's a trend
Philly
here.
has always been a team that has had 2
Oh my
tight
God,
ends.
they would kill us
Always.
with tight ends.
Always.
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jack. Let's go think about the Philly tight ends that would fucking destroy us. What was Selleck? Brett Selleck.
Brett Selleck.
Remember Brett's 3rd and 20. Here's Selleck on a deep
Ertz.
end, wide open.
Yeah. Brad
Zach
Selleck,
Ertz.
and they drafted Zach Ertz. They had Zach Ertz, and they
Zach
went out and drafted
Ertz.
Dallas
Oh,
Goddard. Who is the oh Jesus, it was before Brett Selleck. Chad, he was from
Oh
BYU.
my God.
The hell was his name?
BYU.
Bradford? Or was it Brett? No.
Chad.
No,
Oh my
Someone will
God.
say it in
tight
the chat
end from
before I
Philly. Yeah,
Google it.
somebody in the chat will have it. But
Someone's gonna get it. Claudio's gonna give you a free haircut if you get it. Chad
Lewis, yeah.
Chad Lewis.
Natural's got it.
Natural.
There you go.
But that's
The
but that's
natural-
listen, there's going to be a lot. We've talked about the blueprint with Philly,
Well done.
and
Chad
don't
Lewis.
think that they're not look. I mean, Ian Cunningham was there, and they
Mark
know
Navarro played
you got
for
to
the Giants.
build the lines and
Late with the Eagles.
tight ends, and you have to supplement it and go out and get yourself some playmakers. And when you have to spend money, you have to spend it someplace. You have to, and if you can help out your
Got to help
quarterback,
out the quarterback.
you have to.
Offensive line, tight end is got to be those. That list of tight ends, there's huge upgrades there.
Oh, yeah.
Ingram, Schultz, Gesicki, just off the top of my head, off that list. Those are upgrades to what you have right now. That's just going to help Justin.
Let me ask you guys a question then. With respects to the Bears making a trade, we trade down. We get an extra first-round draft pick in 2024. Is that a type of pick that you would be comfortable trading and then trading T. Higgins, like trying to get a guy and extending? Or is it because that was came up in the chat? I'm curious, like trade and sign him to an extension like a la AJ Brown did.
No, the reason that I can't, because you have to cover your bases in 2024 to what Phil brought up with Courtney, and it makes sense. You're trading for the 2024 pick to cover yourself if for whatever reason you have to get back into the quarterback game. Then you're going in there full bore. Lord forbid something happens, injury, Justin's not effective, then you have, a guy like Caleb Williams. That, or like I said, if Justin proves that he's there, then you can target, Marvin Harrison Jr., guys like that. I think there's too much for you to be there. And listen, I love T. Higgins.
Yep.
I get it, but I mean, I was listening to Kenneth Davis and everybody talking about it, and they weren't saying that you should, but they're like, do you trade the number 1 overall pick for T. Higgins? I'm like, get right the fuck out of here. I mean,
on
the
receivers in the league, is T. Higgins the guy you're going to trade for?
I don't see receivers. T. Higgins to me is what you're getting with Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more proven in the league than Chase has been, but he's
more consistent.
He has it
for sure.
But he's
been playing with
Jamar
Chase and Tyler Boyd also. So
there's a track record and a history of number 2s that
Boyd
with other teams.
Had some decent receivers too, but I mean, not that level. You're right. You're right.
Boyd to me is a better receiver than Higgins. Taj Boyd. Boyd on the bench.
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd. Yeah.
I would rather have Boyd.
No. I didn't say Kenneth Davis was suggesting that. There was people saying, if this is would this be the best thing? And then you have because I mean, Higgins is still, I believe, only 23 years old, and he's got what? A 9.
One more year.
He's almost got 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
I was the GM. I would have drafted him that year because he fell in the draw. Where did he go? 3rd, 4th round? What was this? Where did he?
He was an awesome pick.
Logan Frost thinks this is the dumbest pick.
33rd pick by the Bengals. So the pick the Bears actually would have had.
So he went in the 2nd round, Higgins.
Yeah, first pick in the 2nd round.
Logan just hung up his framed Mitch Trubisky jersey about 10 minutes ago.
So dumb. Just look at what he's been playing. I think Shane described exactly my thoughts. You're surrounded by talent. You all of a sudden get one-on-one matchups that kind of fib the player that you are. That's just the reality of what it was.
You think that Denver's going to trade Jerry Jeudy now?
No
fucking way.
I'd rather have Jerry Jeudy than Higgins. I was just saying. I agree.
Yeah. I don't think he's an option at all. But
I don't see
that ship sailed.
Yeah.
Honestly,
what do you see for weapons? Because the free agency lineup is weak for wide receivers. Is there a guy in the last year of a rookie deal you like that you guys would like to?
Well, there's always going to be guys that come free that you're not expecting because money dictates.
Yeah, we talked about
a lot of stuff. I mean, I would have to.
Evans. What about Chris Godwin instead of Evans?
Well,
Godwin coming off the injury. He was my number 1 receiver.
Second half of the year.
Yeah,
he's a risk.
Yeah.
With the injury risk, is he gonna be the guy that he was? That's what you gotta ask. I don't know his fantasy stats or his stats at the end, but he wasn't the player that he was before. And then he can get healthy. He could get healthy.
And what's going to happen? And I know people probably think that it's unrealistic, but you have to look west. What's going to happen? What's going to happen out in LA with the Rams? I mean, they they bottomed out this year, and I know Stafford was hurt, but do they want to start some sort of a rebuild? And there's a lot of question marks out there. Does a Cooper Kupp become available? And I mean, these are things that you have to talk about, and you can't say,
kid from the Jets.
He's never going to be.
Mims.
No, I'm not a Mims guy at all. No, I would.
I don't caught 104 balls.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 yards.
Rather light up.
Michael Thomas from the Saints obviously
God,
ran his course.
Medical red flags, man.
He's broken.
Oh, he's open.
Yeah.
Dude.
You don't want Godwin. I mean, shit.
He's also a personality kind of risk there. Is he the guy coming in your locker room?
Yeah.
But I would do my homework on him. I would get a medical on that kid because
it's foot, and that's the problem. It's been multiple foot surgery, so that's the.
I love Godwin was my guy coming out of the draft.
Got 104 balls this year and had just over 1,000 yards receiving. And he played, he missed the first few games with the knee, so he had but he had Brady throwing the rock, so.
Yeah, so there's going to be a guy out there that you're not even expecting. Like I said, we brought up with Carolina. You go down you go down to number 9 and you tell them
Claudio's guy
that you want DJ Moore coming back.
Yes.
I mean,
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Claudio loves DJ Moore.
I do love DJ Moore.
But I mean that's the biggest thing. You go down. You're talking.
I love DJ.
You're
Moore
talking a massive
haul
coming back.
Yeah,
you're going from 1 to 9. Massive.
Yeah.
And
here's a guy. There's 2 guys that I will share on this show that I believe, as myself, I would want my team to go after, that I believe are dogs. Should I share them now, or should I save it for the patrons? I'll share. Marvin Jones with the Jaguars, formerly of the Detroit Lions, is a dog, and he's a veteran. He's a leader. He's a great route runner. He blocks. These are the type of guys I think Justin Fields needs around him. When you have a guy that's going to fucking give 110% and play that game. I know he's older. I know he's a free agent. Shane will tell you.
He's going to be 33 in March.
I don't think
they're going to go there.
I would bring him in as a veteran, just like put him in the room. There's nobody that's going to teach those receivers better than that guy. He's a fucking pro's pro. I would love Marvin Jones here with the Bears.
Yeah, well, that's the benefit. You
good veteran presence for sure.
You can bring him in on a 1-year deal, and that's like I said. And I know he ended up getting hurt, and that's a name that I threw out there. And I know people are going to lose their shit, but when you have as much money as the Bears do, you go and you talk to a guy like McCole Hardman, because listen, it's not just the top end that you have to improve. You have to improve over Dante Pettis. You have to improve over Equinemius St. Brown. You have to improve over N'Keal Harry. So it's if I told you that you're going into next year with, let's just say, Jackal's guy they trade for. So they have Godwin, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, McCole Hardman, and Velus Jones. Does that give you some explosion at wide receiver? And then it opens up the draft completely to you?
Don't forget, you got EQ
and
too.
The David Montgomery.
Sure. But I'm just saying that everybody thinks that if you sign he's not a number. Well, I don't give a fuck if he's a number 1. He's going to be better than everybody other than Claypool and Darnell Mooney at wide receiver on this roster. But you have money to spend. You have to bring in.
I would rather have Jones than Hardman. And I just think this guy, man,
going to be expensive.
Well, he's often hurt. He's got talent. There's no doubt about it. And he's got a background understanding of Ryan Poles would.
Right. And he may not be interested in him at all. I'm just using it as an example of guys that are out there. The Bears need to improve their team speed overall everywhere.
Is Alan
Free
Lazard
agent,
on
yeah.
your list because of Getsy? I
Well,
totally like
I
that.
think the guy. I think
He's a
in
good.
I'm going to give a shout out to Ryan Cox. This has been. I think the Bears are going to dabble in free agency, and I do believe when free agency hits, you're going to obviously if Deron Payne is out there, but on the offensive side of the ball, I do believe that the Bears are going to go after Jacoby Myers from New England.
Yeah,
I agree that that's going to happen too,
and that's going to be a guy that they dabble in. Now I know.
What about Odell? Any chance?
No.
Nah.
Take a chance with him? No.
You want to give him
I don't
$20 million
think.
a year?
I don't think he wants. I don't think he wants to be here
not
either.
the guy you want.
He wants to play during playoff time.
He wants $20 million a year too. Do you want to
So-
give him $20 million?
I don't think anybody's gonna do it.
So Nate Tice was talking about the Bears
DJ
in
Chark
2023, and these are the names that he said if he's the Bears, he looks at 3 guys in pro free agency, and he wants to come away with 2 of them.
Is Gabe Davis a free agent from the Bills?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so either.
But
No.
Juju.
I would love him in a trade.
no.
Juju's a free agent.
Juju is a free agent.
Does not interest me at all. I'm not a.
He was
Juju,
awful in the Chiefs offense this year, so I don't know
So,
if I'd want a guy like that.
Nate Tice gave 3 names that if he breaks down the Bears and is a huge Justin Fields guy, he gave 3 names in pro free agency that the Bears need to target, and his thoughts were they need to target 3 and they need to come away with 2 of the 3, and the 3 names that he gave.
Wide receiver or
wide receiver?
all over? Okay.
No, wide receiver. He gave 3 wide receiver names. First one was these aren't in order, and of preference. He said you just get 2 of the 3: Jacoby Myers, Alan Lazard, and DJ Chark were the 3 names that Nate. That's not me. That's Nate Tice.
Yeah.
In this offense, he thinks that those are going to be the guys that Getsy will want.
Shark's
in that.
young.
And that will, so it's gonna be interesting. But Ryan Cox has been on it with Jacoby Myers for a long time, and I do see that there. And listen, if the Bears are gonna spend money in free agency, they're gonna spend sizable money in free agency on guys that are still
first round pick.
25 years old, 26 years old, 27 in that wheelhouse. Yeah.
I like Juju. Juju was not horrible. What are you talking about, Chris? He was not horrible.
I think they had a bigger expectation bringing him in, coming into that offense. I don't think he put up quite the season. They went out to trade in the middle of the year.
I like that. He had 78 catches, man.
I like Juju.
It's not horrible.
I'm
not great.
I'm not afraid of Juju. I like him.
Juju too.
Who? There's one guy. Can you scroll down?
Yeah,
the kid from
absolutely.
the Jets or the Giants, Slayton. Is he going to be a free agent?
I don't think he was on there.
I'm looking.
No,
They were going to cut him, right?
He could be a cap casualty guy.
And then all of a sudden, he just
he's not.
there he is.
Darius
There he is,
Slayton.
Slayton, right there. Is he unrestricted?
Damn,
Scroll
he's
to
cheap.
the right a little
Unrestricted
bit.
free agent.
There's a guy right there. 26.
Your wide receiver coach has a direct connection to him.
That's going to be a guy. So I'll mark him down because just watching him down the stretch, that's a guy that's a dog. I could see that he wanted the football.
Jimmy, yes, I'm not. Listen, I don't come on the show and make shit up. When I say shit on the show, I'm serious.
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, he was hated at first up here, Phil, at Claudio, but then
and I don't think they're going to pay him.
Saw some fruits of that labor, and
they
he ended up being a guy.
Coaching staff, I'm talking.
You want to catch guys in free agency at a skill position like that are trending up.
How old was
and
Jeff
that are young.
Graham when we traded for him? Do you remember?
I think he was
30?
a little. I would say 30-ish. Because the Bears made that
Probably
move.
one of the most underrated trades ever.
They brought in like Moose Muhammad when he was 30 or 31. So they've went down that veteran.
That was one of their
road
good
for
trades.
Yep.
Was that
Jeff
1989?
Graham. I can't remember.
I'm trying to find it.
Eric Kramer said that was the best receiver he's ever played, and he played with Herman Moore, Curtis Conway, all of that. But remember, then they let Jeff go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But it's going to be fun real quick as we're
Draft Mob starts now.
there it is. We're coming back. Draft Mob is already kicked off. We started our patron movement breaking down the tape.
Anthony Gordon says Graham was only 25. I thought he was older than that when the Bears got him.
I felt like he was older too. Well, don't be shocked when I throw a name like Breesy out there. When you watch the tape and become a patron, that 3 technique out of Clemson, I don't think I have to worry about his motor.
No, that's going to be a guy that'll be like, if you make the move with Carolina, that's going to be in. But like I said, there's you're not worried about his motor, but there's legitimate questions about the player to me that we'll get into when we break it down. That I need to
wait to debate these things and break down all of them. Wide receiver breakdown, sleepers. We're gonna have special guests, former players like Chris Zorich, Eric Kramer, Matt Waldman, Olin Kreutz. Can I get him on breaking down the centers in the draft? Is he going to be fired up? Some offensive linemen, Coach O, all of us, Shane Cars, as you see, breaking down the tape. Go over to the tapeneverlies.com. If you love the draft, you love what it is that we are talking about building with the Chicago Bears and the best off-season coverage you're going to get, because we're going to actually show you, not manipulate you and flip-flop. It's like, gotta fight, gotta debate, gotta Carlester Crumpler it.
There's a name.
Wow. Crumpler.
Tight end.
Algie Crumpler.
That's his brother. There was 2.
Yeah. Algie Crumpler. That was
Algie and Carlester.
There's some great football names. That's one of
he won me a fantasy championship, Algie Crumpler.
We are going to take every name in the draft that we believe is going to be something special and break it down. Have we confirmed one of next week's guests?
No, I got to reach out to him again. He was very active and then non-existent. So I know there was some traveling and stuff going on, but yeah, there's potential for a double dose. Well, I know
next week. One guy that's coming on next week is the infamous jazz, saxophone, drum,
new dog owner.
One of a fan favorite, jumping on the kickoff, the off season. Talk about Justin Fields, talk about the Bears and what they need to do. That's going to be Matt Waldman jumping back on the show.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
Well, good thing Matt Waldman is, because he'll be coming on the show, hanging out with us next week on Keepin It 100, and then maybe some surprise guests.
He knows I'm coming. That's why.
Yeah, Shane's coming. Where did Cherie go?
She had to take off.
She had to bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had to bounce.
Being harassed in the chat by a bunch of jackwagons.
Surprise guest next week.
Yes. Could be a surprise guest next week.
We're efforting.
Maybe 2. Yeah. Shane's working the phones better than Jackal so far.
Trying to confirm Dan Wiederer for the 15th. Waiting to hear back from him.
Dan Wiederer versus Marshall.
Actually, just emailed me as we speak.
Are we going to break some news? Give me a possible breaking news.
Good to go, Dan Wiederer, 15th.
Breaking news.
Perfect.
There you go.
There it is, right on cue.
On cue. On
Put that in your
cue.
pipe and
can only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but only imagine the smells coming out of that thing, but
Jackal better do some shit. Jackal better do some shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit now. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit.
He knows I'm coming. That's why.
Who's hitting shit?
That wasn't me.
I'm sending an email.
I'm blaming fucking Zorich for this. What the hell is going on out there?
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. Shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew. Gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer strong, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some this part, signal show is at its end. But for me it's so important, thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Claudio Jane getting nervous, cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say they get the shot of vital. But hurry up, cause the postman's getting homicidal.
shout out. I know you hear me, baby. Shout out. I know you see me, baby. Shout out. We gotta holler at you. Keep it.
That was an unceremoniously stopped there at the end.
It was.
I don't know who that was.
I was putting some drops in there to shorten it up for Claudio's least favorite part of that song. Claudio the Barber is in the house.
Yes.
He is. He's back from Italy. No daughters on dates or anything like that, Claudio?
No, not this week. We'll see. Next week's a new week.
Claudio, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I'll shout obviously you guys out. Caden Whitlow back. It's good to see him. Cherie, obviously shout out you guys. Few people in the chat. Midwest Monster. Wilma Fingadoo.
Ooh, hey yo.
That's another good name. That's a good name. That's a good football name.
Good call, Claudio. I like that.
Jose Torres, my man, in there, and everybody else. You know who you are. You guys are all great in the chat. So that's about it. We'll move on to Jackal.
That's it, Claudio?
That's it. Yeah, we'll keep it quick. I'm tired. So.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
From all that coming Shane's doing, you know?
That's right. I'm coming.
Chris Jackal, you're back. Got any shout outs?
Hey, 2 weeks in a row. Hey. You know, real quick, guys. Great to see everybody. Health is wealth, so I hope everyone's feeling better. Ivan, it's great to see you.
You too.
You know, be a friend, tell a friend, reach out to somebody if you haven't chatted with them at all or thinking about them, as we always say this during this time. And just shouting out my little man Conrad. He finally got his cast on this week, so he can now beat the shit out of his brother with it, which he's done twice already. One of his brothers, so it's been fun to deal with that. It's no longer Conrad, he's Clubber, and he is, you know.
About time to add a couple more kids to that litter, isn't there?
Fuck no. This 45-year-old man, hell no. I am done. I got a doctor's appointment I have to schedule.
Did you sign it?
Oh yeah. Dad signed. He's got all sorts of. No, he had certain ladies that had to sign it at school before. You know, his brother just got the goddamn thing. Little fucking pimp, ginger, redhead, maniac over here.
Wow. You're gonna be a grandfather soon.
Little Pimp C, yeah. That's great. Thanks, Claudio.
Hey, that's it. That's all your shout outs.
Yeah, it was quick and easy, man. I miss Cherie. I didn't get a chance to chat with her. I was, shout her out. Hope all's well with her. Hate seeing her skate off. But Caden looked like a fucking 22-year-old model sitting in the green room over here. I said, what the
He
hell
had
is
that
going
whole
on?
lineup, except for that one chick. That one chick had really, really bad teeth, but
She was English, so it's like
Yeah.
we're trying to figure it all out. But
she looked like she bit the fucking boom out of a bomb with those teeth like that.
she had summer teeth. All right, I got you.
Ivan Vargas.
Yeah, shout out to Cherie. Shout out to Caden. Good seeing them tonight. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the chat. Love all y'all. Everybody's just focus on this draft. I love it. The draft mob.
Ivan hasn't slept in 13 days.
I honestly haven't. Like I'm all congested.
Shout out to your lungs, bro. Hopefully they're fucking doing all right.
We didn't talk very much tonight for a reason.
I know.
Yeah, there was a reason I was trying to keep it low, but yeah, definitely appreciate y'all. Love Draft Mob, being a part of it and everything like that. You guys got to watch it. I mean, like Phil and Shay were saying, everybody getting broken down in this draft is going to be fine-tooth combed before we go ahead and make a decision. To whether we stay or we move, every player is going to be thoroughly vetted, and I'm looking forward to doing it with you guys. So, clip it or not, whatever.
Oh shit! Yeah, good point. That's a good one.
Oh, I love it. You guys obviously do a tremendous job. Jackal from not doing shit to doing shit, right?
Hey.
On cue. Look at that.
That was pretty good.
Was that real that he
I swear to God, I was trying to get it before we started talking.
Yeah.
I turned my Wi-Fi off on my phone, long story short, and I was waiting for my emails to load from earlier around 8:30. Because I shot him an email, say, hey, just trying to confirm. And he was nice enough to respond and say, yeah, man, we're good to go.
Has anyone heard from Jack Baller? Is he okay? Is he alive? Is
He was an Avatar too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's living in the water. The way of the water.
He was one of those babies that the Avatar people had, right? Like
I know when Bratcher came out
That
of
was
his
a good
tent
one,
in
Jack.
India from the ayahuasca trip, I know Jack Baller was there building the fire. So I don't know what word
He's
is
okay.
there.
He's living his best life, as we joke.
living his
Good to know
best?
he's okay.
I want to say, there's Logan. Logan's giving an update. That's all
He's
Logan's
okay.
good for.
Dot,
Not his
dot,
football takes.
Got the
Or his take
his-
on the
what's
offense.
Man.
Gave us all the details. He's okay.
He's okay. Dot. Dun 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 dun.
To be continued.
He's still balling in the Philippines.
Shane, you have any
I'm all
shout
good,
out?
buddy. I'm all good, buddy. Hey, Rob, coming back to the shy. I don't know about you, but I've been over in the Philippines, baby.
It's going great in the Philippines, baby. If Shane could do some impressions of some people, it's so funny.
I was talking to my son in the I don't want to say his name.
Oh, I know who you're talking
yeah,
about. My guy?
Yeah, that I always do to you on the phone. There, you're like, oh, what the fuck? But might have to That's what we got to get him back on here, and then I'll interview him.
Yes.
In that voice, we'll do a Between Two Ferns episode.
That would be fun. I actually really like that dude now.
Oh yeah,
It
good
was
shit.
fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Who
shout
the
out
fuck
to you
are they
guys.
talking about?
Yeah.
I love it.
If you're
I
a
want to
patron,
keep you
we'll
on
tell
your
you.
toes.
I would shout out all the patrons that updated their payment info, but we had about
First of the month. It's
50
the
of
first
them that
the
did
month.
not.
Get up, get
Yeah,
up.
jeez.
It's the first.
But anyway,
Pay up.
bullets will like my joke. Bullets and I text each other the first of the month, trying to figure out who's gonna
Shane
listen to me
texted
and
me like,
who's not.
"Look at these motherfuckers." I'm like, what
Send
is
out a
going on?
friendly reminder and Still doesn't work, but it's all good. We love you. Just, you know,
Get
in
some
the
new
middle and the end of the month.
New.
Yeah.
Saw new in the.
Lulu Johnson was
I
back.
saw him in the chat tonight. Any other shout out, Shane?
We got to get him on.
Who?
Logan says,
I'm
betting that this is one of those ones where when Jack Baller comes on and does the impression that it falls flat.
Yeah.
Probably Logan and Jack think it's funny as fuck.
It's like Bratcher's impression of my voice.
Give me an offensive guard or give me death. You believe that shit? Oh, that was the best, bro.
I'm trying to get Phil's pitch.
Oh, worked on that shit all day.
His impression of you is just one thing. I fucked your mom. That's all. That's
right. Somebody can clip that. That's a good drop.
There you go. You like that?
I'm trying to send one right now. What the fuck? You guys are killing me.
I'm just doing an
Happy
impression
Mother's
of
Day for
Tommy from
TTNL.
Power.
Claude pops out. I fucked your mom. No, shout out to you guys. This off season, kind of revitalizes us after a tough season. Doing Draft Mob the other night, I was excited to get that started off and kicked it off with Jalen Carter. And like I said, we take a different approach. It's not going to be, all the sunshine and rainbows. We're going to show you the good stuff. We're going to show you the bad stuff, and we're going to talk about things that need to be talked about, because that's what needs to be happening behind closed doors at Hallis Hall. If you agree completely on a prospect with a bunch of people in the room, then I have a big problem with that, because you can't. That's when you draft Mitch Trubisky. Remember that whole video, all of
Conviction.
that, conviction on a quarterback.
Conviction.
Well, yeah,
I forgot
you
that.
fucked it up big time. But shout out to Cherie. Always good to see all you guys, get everybody back in the fold. I know the Cars and crew, they're doing the family thing down at Disney with the girls.
Getting the big D.
The big.
I'm looking forward to doing it with you guys. So
Yeah, whatever floats your boat there, Vargas. It's fine, bro.
Love this new computer, man. It's so much better. So much faster.
Jackson's making drops.
Yeah.
Put them together like.
I'm just trying to get Shane back. I got to do something. I mean,
okay.
What hurt me? What did I say? Fucking a guy when I was like doing a little deep dive into that shit. He was, he fucking hurt me significantly. I love that.
What you just clip? He hurt me significantly.
Yeah, I'm at the
Put
point
that
whenever
one
I
as a
hear the
short
word
clip?
significantly, like I was at work the other day and I just heard that
Oh,
word.
no.
I just started smiling because I'm like, fucking jackal.
I'm glad I'm there.
He hurt me significantly.
Well, I hope Poles doesn't hurt us significantly coming this
exactly.
draft, man.
He hurt me significantly.
It was like when I saw Vargas on the ice and they said Ivan. I'm like, well, he's fun. He's out there getting praised for his military service, and I'm focused on the word Ivan across the closed captioning at the bottom of the
Ain't
screen.
gonna miss a trick.
Nope.
I just want to shout out all of you guys that tune in each and every week to the show, and I love Cherie's mom. Support TTNL and everything we do here. We try to be the non-collaborators. We try to be the originators, and a lot of people steal stuff from us. We'll just say it like that and mimic. And I guess as I get older, I could say, okay, that's flattery, but I'm not a big fan of that. That's like the best abilities availability. I'm not a fan of that either.
Give me a guard.
I want to shout out Courtney Cronin for coming on the show tonight and really chopping it up. Like, amazing stuff there. If you're just tuning in at the end of the show, you really got to watch that interview. Just a good friend of the network and really supports what we do here. There seems to be a pattern with the guests that we continue to have on the show that do that. And Courtney, thank you. Shout out to my sons who turned 9 Devin Claudio got his Mooney jersey.
Yeah, I saw it.
And Tate got a Justin Fields jersey. So now he's counting. I got Fields, I got Montgomery, and every day I got to hear, is David going to be back? I don't know. He's starting to hate Shane even more than the donuts. So we'll see where this goes. Shout out to Caden Whitlow, Cherie, Ron G, Cool Kennedy doing the TTNL rewinds now that'll debut every Friday here on the network. The new condensed little highlight reel recap of every show going forward here, every Keepin It 100 going forward here. That's been a lot of people have been reaching out to me, loving that part of it. Even if they watch the full show, they like that. So shout out to you, CK. Ron G actually called me. He's like, I'm loving the TTNL rewind. Oh, awesome. So
just need some more metal and some more fire.
Some explosions. Ron G is just a great.
Oh, he's the best.
I fucked your mom. I fucked your mom. I fucked your mom.
Oh boy. Can you just isolate on him? Are you able to zoom? Because that'll be scaring some people. I love Cherie's mom.
I fucked your mom.
That's a.
I'm looking for.
He knows I'm coming. That's why.
Oh, there's 4 new drops on one show.
I fucked your mom. I was contemplating what I was gonna say it. I'm like, should I say it? They're gonna cut that shit, aren't they? Yeah, fuck it. It was still funny. It was worth it.
Well, shout out
Ivan,
to
that clip that you had. Do you have that clip of Phil? He doesn't say the name, does he?
No, I don't think he does.
Don't put.
I don't have that. I don't have that clip.
Okay.
But I have the.
Show me before we do it.
I fucked your mom.
I want to shout out all of. I want to shout out my wife. I want to shout out the kids and everybody. My dad. But I'm gonna ask.
That's fucking rude.
I'm gonna ask you guys on the TTNL way to send some positive energy towards my mom
100%.
and everything that's been going on with her.
Don't play the trap, Claude.
It's been a lot going on. Yeah, Claude. With my mom. So TTNL family. I should have probably not even said it because you guys can flip it around.
We're assholes, yeah. Hey, if you can't laugh, you gotta have laughter.
We always ask for positivity and everything. My mom's hasn't been doing real well. So hopefully we get some answers more this week. But in the TTNL family way, just send some positive energy towards my mom. And my dad has been very worried about my mom.
Yeah.
So, when he's worried, that stuff. So that's it, guys. Another great show. Hopefully you guys will sign up, become a patron to tapeneverlies.com. We're gonna shorten the outro here, Shane. Or no?
You know what? Let's switch it up. We can play a very special outro. The only way we know how. We'll start it off 2 ways. Do it this
I fucked your mom.
And then we'll do it this way.
Oh,
you don't want to close it out that way?
I didn't touch anything.
All right,